Good and fair evening, my friends. Welcome back to the Tavern Marina. Thank you for the tips to the Tavern Keeper. They appreciate it. I don't know what combos are. I assume that's a new feature on Twitch. I got an email about some new features. I didn't bother reading it though. So that's me being a professional. Um, BRB, I need to start some run. That's all right, Molly School. I will waffle for a bit while everyone gets in. The bear. Hello, my friend. Welcome in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the tavern. It's so good to see you all. Sage, first in over on YouTube. Hello. The bear is first in through the Facebook door. And Matty, thank you for the raid. Give you a toot on the raid horn. Your Viking raspberries in a bowl, if you don't mind. And so, hey, dropping by to leave a look. Hope you're all having a great day so far. Wonderful, Nitso. I hope you're having a good day as well. I hope you're taking care of yourself. But welcome in, my friends. Good and fair evening. Sounds yummy. Yeah, well, raspberries in a bowl ought to be. I got it too. I just saw there was a new feature. Yeah, it's a new thing. Well, good fun. I love me some video gaming in real life, you know. Just get you a little bit of real world combos. Alright, my friends, we are creeping up on the end. Erin, hello! We are creeping up on the end of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Let's see, we are on page 515. And we have exactly 2 chapters left. The last page is 548, which means that we are... Wow, that's insane! We are 33 pages from the end here. And we were exactly 33 pages from the end of Silverthorn as well, when we on Tuesday. That is a marvel. I'm at that one chapter just after the big fight, the big Berry self-destruct chapter. Mary Beth, hello, welcome in. The old bear has found his nest. Ashley, hello, Black Knight, hello. Hey, I just hopped in to listen. I'm putting everything away. I moved in. Spectacular, Black Knight. Good to hear. Go ahead, settle into your seat and stories will... Kai! Hello! 2 nights in a row. It must be my birthday. Did we get raided again? We did! VIP Marissa, hello! Welcome in! Thank you. Hello. We got another raid, so let's give them a toot on the raid horn. Viking raspberries incoming. Thank you for the raid, friends. What brings you into the tavern this fine evening, and what were you doing before you got here? Hi, thank you for the galaxy over on TikTok. We just started. Can't be tipping the tavern keeper this early. I haven't even earned it yet. Warrior Norman, hello, over on YouTube. And Sydney, hello. It's my, well, happy birthday, Sydney. I'm glad that you were able to make it in. Just a quick thought, how is Jacob? I have not heard from Jacob in quite some time. So that would be a question for Kai then. I'm sorry I've been gone so long, I promise I'm much better now, and we're glad to have you back. Marina was asking how Jacob is doing. Marissa, how was your day? We were playing The Hobbit, 2003, ready to enjoy some storytelling now. Spectacular, glad to hear it. Wait, there was a Hobbit game in 2003? That is news to me. But any which way, my friends, welcome in. You have stumbled into a tavern at the end of the world, where all stories eventually come to rest. I am Castle, This is my tavern, and here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore, and every now and again, I read you all a bedtime story. Tonight, we are in the final stretch of Harry Potter's journey with the Half-Blood Prince. We are on chapter 29, the second to last chapter of the book, and oh boy, are we in for some tears. This next chapter is one of the most emotionally draining chapters in the whole of the book. Sage says, the goblins still got me in editing hell, might have a chance for an audiobook for my published book. Spectacular, Sage, that is good news. I must get me a raid horn. I have a couple of drinking horns, but I need a raid horn. This one was gifted to me. I don't remember if it was the company themselves that sent it to us, or if somebody sent this to us from the company. But this was gifted to me from Grimfrost. And it's of decent quality. It's not the best quality I've ever seen, but it is of decent quality. Alright, friends. Grab your seats. Fill your glasses. Stumbled over my own tongue there. Fill your tankards. It is time for stories. That is unfortunate to hear, Kai. Marina. Kai has just informed me that young Jacob passed away before his time on June the 4th of this year. And that's part of why she was gone for so long, was the mourning of the young man. So, an understandable absence, though I feel you probably would have been more comfortable in your grief if you had been able to share it with us, but I'm glad that you're here now. Crystal, hello, welcome in. Yeah, it is always unfortunate and sad when the young ones go before their time, but Jacob was a very passionate young man, and he enjoyed stories and storytelling. So, in honor of Jacob and Kai's love for the young lad, we'll raise a glass for him. And tonight, we'll honor him with stories, as we do in the tavern. We honor those who leave before we do, by telling stories and telling their stories for generations after they're gone. So thank you for sharing, Kai. I do appreciate you letting us know, in spite of the pain I'm sure that you still feel around it. And I hope that you are celebrating the young man and keeping his name and memory alive as best you can. And with that, friends, let us transition our melancholy into the love of stories. I can only imagine, Kai, you were very invested in the young man's health and life, so alright, let us begin with the aptly named Chapter 29, The Phoenix Lament. Darth Nexus, hello my friend, welcome in, grab your seat. Thank you for the heart, me, Nexus. Tips to the Tavern Keeper, always appreciated. Come here, Harry. No. You can't stay here, Harry. Come on now. No. He did not want to leave Dumbledore's side. He did not want to move anywhere. Hagrid's hand on his shoulder was trembling. Thank you for the go popular, Big Ed. I appreciate you, my friend. Then another voice said, Harry, come on. A much smaller and warmer hand enclosed his, and was pulling him upward. He obeyed its pressure without really thinking about it. Only as he walked blindly back through the crowd did he realize, from a trace of the flowery scent on the air, that it was Ginny, who was leading him back into the castle. Incomprehensible voices battered him, sobs and shouts and wails stabbed the night. But Harry and Ginny walked on, back up the steps into the entrance hall. Faces swam on the edge of Harry's vision. People were peering at him, whispering, wondering. The Gryffindor rubies glistened on the floor like drops of blood as they made their way towards the marble staircase. We're going to the hospital wing, said Ginny. I'm not hurt, said Harry. It's McGonagall's orders, said Ginny. Everyone's up there. Ron and Hermione and Lupin and everyone. Fear stirred in Harry's chest. He had forgotten the inert figures he had left behind. Ginny, who else is dead? Don't worry, none of us. But the Dark Mark. Malfoy said he stepped over a body. He stepped over Bill, but he's all right. He's alive. There was something in her voice, however, that Harry knew boded ill. Are you sure? Of course I'm sure. He's a bit of a mess, that's all. Greyback attacked him. Madame Pomfrey says he won't look the same anymore. Ginny's voice trembled a little. We don't really know what the after effects will be. I mean, Greyback being a werewolf, but not transformed at the time. But the others, there were other bodies on the ground. Neville and Professor Flitwick are both hurt, but Madame Pomfrey says they'll be all right. And the Death Eater's dead. He got hit by a killing curse. That huge blonde one was firing off everywhere. Harry, if we hadn't had your Felix potion, I think we'd have all been killed. Everything seemed to just miss us. They had reached the hospital wing, pushed open the doors. Harry saw Neville lying, apparently asleep in a bed near the door. Ron, Hermione, Luna, Tonks, and Lupin were gathered around another bed near the far end of the ward. At the sound of the doors opening, they all looked up. Hermione ran to Harry and hugged him, and Lupin moved forward too, looking anxious. Are you all right, Harry? I'm fine. How's Bill? Nobody answered. Harry looked over Hermione's shoulder and saw an unrecognizable face laying on Bill's pillow. So badly slashed and ripped that it looked grotesque. Madame Pomfrey was dabbing his wounds with some harsh-smelling green ointment, and Harry remembered how Snape had mended Malfoy's Sectum Sempra wounds so easily with his wand. Can't you fix them with a charm or something? He asked the matron. No charm will fix these, said Madame Pomfrey. I've tried everything I know, but there's no cure for werewolf bites. But he wasn't bitten at a full moon, said Ron, who was gazing into his brother's face, as though he could somehow force him to mend just by staring. Greyback hadn't transformed, so Bill won't be a real... He looked uncertainly at Lupin. No, I don't think that Bill will be a true werewolf, said Lupin. But that doesn't mean that there won't be some contamination. Those are cursed wounds, and they're unlikely ever to heal fully, and Bill might have some wolfish characteristics from now on. Dumbledore might know something that'd work, though, Ron said. Nate, hello, my friend. Welcome in. Thank you for the heart, my brother. Grab your seat. Where is he? Bill fought those maniacs on Dumbledore's orders. Dumbledore owes him. We can't leave him in this state. Run! Dumbledore's dead, said Ginny. No! Lupin looked wildly from Ginny to Harry, as though hoping the latter might contradict her. But when Harry did not, Lupin collapsed into a chair beside Bill's bed, his hand over his face. Harry had never seen Lupin lose control before. He felt as though he was intruding upon something private, indecent. He turned away and caught Ron's eye instead, exchanging in silence a look that confirmed what Ginny had said. How did he die? Whispered Tonks. How did it happen? Snape killed him, said Harry. I was there. I saw it. We arrived back on the astronomy tower. Because there was a mark. Dumbledore was ill, he was weak. But I think he realised it was a trap when we heard footsteps running up the stairs. He immobilised me and I couldn't do anything. I was under the invisibility cloak. And then Malfoy came through the door and disarmed him. Hermione clapped her hand to her mouth, and Ron groaned. Luna's mouth trembled. More Death Eaters arrived, and then Snape. Snape, he did it. The Avada Kedavra. Harry couldn't go on. Madame Pomfrey burst into tears. Nobody paid attention to her except Ginny, who whispered, Shh, listen. Gulping, Madame Pomfrey pressed her fingers to her mouth, her eyes wide. Somewhere out in the darkness, a phoenix was singing in a way Harry had never heard before. A stricken lament of terrible beauty. And Harry felt as he had felt about the Phoenix song before, that the music was inside him, not without. It was his own grief turned magically to song that echoed across the grounds and through the castle windows. Tonks, hello, good to see you, welcome in, grab your seat. We are just now in the second to last chapter of Half-Blood Prince. Rachel, hello, welcome in. Esther, hello. Good evening. Or good morning for you and Bear, I suppose. Jessica, hello. I've missed it here. Earlier wake-up means I've missed the story. Is excited to catch this. Well, Jessica, you'll be happy to know that we are now starting earlier on a regular basis. Storytime will begin at 4:30 Pacific Standard Time on Tuesdays and Thursdays from now on. A thunderstorm here. Oh, I do love a good thunderstorm. Fang and I are on a 190-day TikTok streak. It's wild to think my longest relationship. I did. You said I was unaware you were live today. I hope I have not missed much. I was up most of the night and this morning I had to walk Elsie for a run. But welcome in, Esther. It's good to see you. And yes, Esther, Storytime is now 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Tuesdays and Thursdays, every week. It'll be on the calendar for both Facebook and for TikTok. Oh, that's exciting, Aaron. Alright, let's continue. How long they all stood there listening, he did not know, nor why it seemed to ease their pain a little, to listen to the sound of their mourning. But it felt like a long time later that the hospital door opened again and Professor McGonagall entered the ward. Like all the rest, she bore the marks of the recent battle. There were grazes on her face and her robes were ripped. Molly and Arthur are on their way, she said, and the spell of the music was broken. Everyone roused themselves as though coming out of trances and turning to look at Bill, or else to rub their own eyes and shake their heads. Harry, what happened? According to Hagrid, you were there when Professor Dumbledore, Well, it happened. He says Professor Snape was involved in some Snape killed Dumbledore, said Harry. She stared at him for a moment, then swayed alarmingly. Madame Pomfrey, who seemed to have pulled herself together, ran forward, conjuring a chair from thin air, which she pushed under McGonagall. Snape? She repeated faintly, falling into the chair. We all wondered, but he trusted always Snape. I can't believe it. Snape was highly accomplished at occlumens, said Lupin. His voice uncharacteristically harsh. We always knew that. But Dumbledore said he was on our side, whispered Tonks. I always thought Dumbledore must know something about Snape that we didn't. He always hinted that he had an ironclad reason for trusting Snape, muttered Professor McGonagall, now dabbing at the corner of her leaking eyes with a tartan-edged handkerchief. I mean, with Snape's history, of course people are bound to wonder. But Dumbledore told me explicitly that Snape's repentance was absolutely genuine. Wouldn't hear a word against him. I'd love to know what Snape told him to convince him, said Tonks. I know, said Harry, and they all turned to look at him. Snape passed Voldemort the information that made Voldemort hunt down my mum and dad, and then Snape told Dumbledore he hadn't realised what he was doing. He was really sorry he'd done it. Sorry they were dead. They all stared at him. And Dumbledore believed that? Said Lupin incredulously. Dumbledore believed Snape was sorry James was dead. Snape hated James. And he didn't think my mother was worth a damn either, said Harry. Because she was Muggle-born. Mudblood, he called her. Nobody asked how Harry knew this. All of them seemed to be lost in horrified shock, trying to digest the monstrous truth of what had just happened. This is all my fault, said Professor McGonagall suddenly. She looked disoriented, twisting her wet handkerchief in her hands. My fault? I sent Phileas to fetch Snape that night. I actually sent for him to come and help us. If I hadn't alerted Snape to what was going on, he might never have joined forces with the Death Eaters. I don't think he knew they were there before Phileas told him. I don't think he knew they were coming. It isn't your fault, Minerva, said Lupin firmly. We all wanted more help. We were glad to think Snape was on his way. So when he arrived at the fight, he joined in on the Death Eater's side? Asked Harry, who wanted every detail of Snape's duplicity and infamy, feverishly collecting more reasons to hate him and to swear vengeance. I don't know exactly how it happened, said Professor McGonagall distractedly. It's all so confusing. Dumbledore told us that he would be leaving the school for a few hours, and that we were to patrol the corridors in case Remus, Bill, and Nymphadora were to join us. And so we patrolled. All seemed quiet. Every secret passage out of the school was covered. We knew nobody could fly in. There were powerful enchantments at every entrance of the castle. I still don't know how the Death Eaters can possibly have entered. I do, said Harry. He explained briefly about the pair of vanishing cabinets and the magical pathway they formed. So they got in through the room of requirement. Almost against his will, he glanced from Ron to Hermione, both of whom looked devastated. I messed up, Harry, said Ron bleakly. We did like you told us. We checked the Marauder's map, and we couldn't see Malfoy on it, so we thought he must be in the room of requirement. So me, Ginny, and Neville went to keep watch on it, but Malfoy got past us. He came out of the room after an hour, after we started keeping watch, said Ginny. He was on his own, clutching that awful shriveled arm. His hand of glory, said Ron. Gives light only to the wielder, remember? Anyway, Ginny went on, he must have been checking on whether the coast was clear to let the Death Eaters out.
because the moment he saw us, he threw something into the air and all went pitch black.
Peruvian instant darkness powder, said Ron bitterly. Fred and George's. When I be having a word with him about who they let buy their products.
We tried everything. Lumos, Incendio,
said Ginny.
Nothing would penetrate the darkness. All we could do was grope our way about the corridor again, and meanwhile we could hear people rushing past us. Obviously Malfoy could see because of that hand thing and was guiding them, but we didn't dare use any curses or anything in case we hit each other. But by the time we reached the corridor, it was like they'd gone.
Luckily, said Lupin hoarsely, Ron, Ginny, and Neville ran into us almost immediately and told us what had happened. We found the Death Eaters minutes later, heading in the direction of the astronomy tower. Malfoy obviously hadn't expected more people to be on watch. He seemed to have exhausted his supply of darkness powder at any rate. Fight broke out. They scattered and we gave chase. One of them, Gibbon, broke away and headed up the tower stairs.
He set off the mark?
Harry asked.
He must have done, yes.
They must have arranged for that before they left the room of requirement, said Lupin. But I don't think Gibbon liked the idea of waiting there alone for Dumbledore, because he came running back downstairs to rejoin the fight, and was hit by a killing curse that just missed me.
So if Ron was watching the room of requirement with Ginny and Neville,
said Harry, turning to Hermione.
Were you outside Snape's office? Yes,
whispered Hermione, her eyes sparkling with tears.
With Luna. We hung around for ages outside it, and nothing happened. We didn't know what was going on upstairs. Ron had taken the map, and it was nearly midnight before Professor Flitwick came sprinting down to the dungeons. He was shouting about Death Eaters in the castle. I don't think he really registered that Luna and I were there at all. He just burst his way into Snape's office, and we heard him saying to Snape that he had to go back with him and help, and then we heard a loud thump, and Snape came hurtling out of the room and saw us, and...
What? Harry urged her.
I was so stupid, Harry,
said Hermione in a high-pitched whisper.
He said Professor Flitwick had collapsed, and that we should go and take care of him while he went to help him fight the Death Eaters.
She covered her face in shame and continued to talk into her fingers, so that her voice was muffled.
We went into his office to see if we could help Professor Flitwick, and we found him unconscious on the floor. And oh, it's so obvious now Snape must have stupefied Flitwick. But we didn't realise, Harry. We didn't realise we let Snape go.
It's not your fault, said Lupin firmly. Hermione, had you not obeyed Snape and got out of the way, he probably would have killed you and Luna.
So then he came upstairs,
said Harry, who was watching Snape running up the marble staircase in his mind's eye, his black robes billowing behind him as ever, pulling his wand from under his cloak as he ascended. And he found a place where you were all fighting.
We were in trouble, we were losing,
said Tonks in a low voice.
Gibbon was down, but the rest of the Death Eaters seemed ready to fight to the death. Neville had been hurt. Bill had been savaged by Greyback. It was all dark, curses flying everywhere. The Malfoy boy had vanished. He must have slipped past up the stairs. But then more of them ran after him. But one of them blocked the stair behind him with some kind of curse. Neville ran at it and got thrown up into the air. None of us could break it, though, said Ron. And that massive Death Eater was still firing jinxes all over the place. They were bouncing off the walls and barely missing us. And then Snape was there,
said Tonks.
And then he wasn't.
Take a swig and a stretch, thank you. Castle, I have marked the calendar in large capital letters. Cheers, Esther. Frost, hello, hello. Yay for new work schedule. I said with a ton of sarcasm. The Eagles player was kicked already. Santana, you legend. Hello, thank you for the resub, my friend. Tips to the tavern keeper are always appreciated. Jaeger, how goes it, my friend? Oh, well, let me get to the end of this paragraph and then share it so that we can all enjoy it together. I'm glad, Jessica, I'm glad you like it here so much. We enjoy having you. It's good that we've kept your seat open so you can still join us. Hillary, hello, hello. It's all right. Kristala quietly slips into her favorite spot to enjoy the tale. Welcome in, my friends. Grab your seats. Ugh. And let us continue. All right.
I saw him running towards us, but the huge Death Eater's jig just missed me right afterward, and I ducked and lost track of things,
said Ginny.
I saw him run straight through the cursed barrier, as though it wasn't there,
said Lupin.
I tried to follow him, but I was thrown back, just like Neville. He must have known a spell we didn't,
whispered McGonagall.
After all, he was a defense against the dark arts teacher. I just assumed that he was in a hurry to chase after the Death Eaters who'd escaped up the tower.
He was, said Harry savagely, but to help them, not to stop them. I'll bet you had to have had the dark mark to get through the barrier. So what happened when he came back down?
Well, the big Death Eater had just fired off a hex, caused half the ceiling to fall in. Also broke the curse blocking the stairs,
said Lupin.
We all ran forward. Those of us who were still standing anyway. And then Snape and the boy emerged from the dust. Obviously, none of us attacked them. We just let him pass, said
Tonks in a hollow voice.
We thought they were being chased by the Death Eaters. And the next thing, the Death Eaters in Greyback were back and we were fighting again. I thought I heard Snape shout something, but I don't know what.
He shouted, "It's over," said Harry. He'd done what he'd meant to do. They all fell silent. Fox's lament was still echoing over the dark grounds outside, as the music reverberated upon the air. Unbidden, unwelcome thoughts slunk into Harry's mind. Had they taken Dumbledore's body from the foot of the tower yet? What would happen to it next? Where would it rest? He clenched his fists tightly in his pockets. He could feel the small, cold lump of the fake Horcrux against the knuckles of his right hand. The doors of the hospital wing burst open, making them all jump. Mr. and Mrs. Weasley were striding up the ward, floored just behind them, her beautiful face terrified.
Molly, Arthur,
said Professor McGonagall, jumping up and hurrying to greet them.
I'm so sorry. Bill,
whispered Mrs. Weasley, darting past Professor McGonagall as she caught sight of Bill's mangled face.
Oh, Bill!
Lupin and Tonks had got up hastily and retreated so that Mr. and Mrs. Weasley could get near the bed. Mrs. Weasley bent over her son and pressed her lips to his bloody forehead. Milo, hello! Milo raiding in as well. Well, look at that. All right, we'll take a second to break here. We'll give Milo her Viking raspberries, a toot on the raid horn. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Cover your ears. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Look at all the raids into the tavern today. Absolutely wonderful time. Milo, thank you for bringing more folk in through the portals. It's good to see you. Cheers, friends. So Santana, what was your good news? Give it to me. We're gonna take a short reprieve while everyone pops in. Kelsey, hello! Good to see you. Welcome in. Grab your regular seat, fill your tankard. We're about halfway through the second to last chapter of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Good news is football season has started. I suppose that would be good news if you enjoy football. I have not watched sports in years. I have removed the comments so I can focus on the story. What comments are we talking about, Esther? Pixie is now officially the proud new owner of a brand new 2024 Yamaha MT-03 300cc crotch rocket motorcycle. Hell yeah, that's beautiful. You guys gonna go riding together? I need a break from editing. I'm about to combust with Berry. You gotta make sure you pace yourself, friend. It was something like, I find it interesting that a nation that prides itself on its virility feels the need of putting on 40 pounds of protective gear just to play a game of rugby. Interesting. That's probably it, Hillary. We didn't need to focus on the story. Comments fly here. That's good news, though. That means that there are a lot of folk who are enjoying the tavern. I enjoy lively family gatherings, Esther. They're not for everyone, mind you. But I do enjoy a lively family gathering. It means that everyone is healthy and happy and enjoying themselves. Sure, sometimes things get missed, but it's not out of malice that things get missed. It's out of the excitement and the love for what is going on, and I'm all about that. I'm here just to hear you, Kat. Well, I appreciate that. We could probably turn on slow mode. Let's see. Yeah. Do slow mode so that it's a little bit easier for everyone to keep up. Do you like Purdue basketball? I'll be honest, I don't watch any sports. I played sports as a young man, but I have not watched any sports in years. Many years. Most athletes, in my opinion, are overpaid prima donnas. So I have not actively watched professional sports. College sports are still sometimes entertaining. Destiny is probably putting her little ones through dinner or bed or something of the like. I do enjoy playing sports, I just don't enjoy watching professional sports anymore. Elsie and I are enjoying Harry Potter. Good, Esther, I'm glad to hear it. But yeah. Sean, my friend, thank you for the resub. Tips to the Tavern Keeper, always appreciated, brother. Welcome in, it's good to see you. But yeah, there's just so much drama in sports anymore. I'm not here for it. I will still occasionally watch things like American Ninja Warrior and Ninja Warrior. American Gladiator was a glory era. But I miss when sports were about like the prowess of things. And I understand if you're being paid quite a bit of money, you want to not lose your ability to play the game. I get that. I'm 100%. But that also takes the joy out of the sport itself. So, Kelsey, we are now on 4:30 every day. Not every day. 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then Sunday stays the same, but we get on a little bit earlier to have a bit of a waffle. The Eagles got another penalty. Those bastards, how dare they? Which is insane. You are on every day, Matty. Yeah, strongman competitions. I do enjoy festivals and things like that. And if ever we do manage to open the actual proper uh, tavern, I will host real cultural festivals that have uh, those exact things. The NFL is being well. The NFL has gotten soft. The soccer association has become soft. They've all gotten soft. I do still love playing sports. I just don't enjoy watching them because the professionals, again, they're all overpaid prima donna dramatics. Marina, thank you for the bits. Tips to the tavern keeper, always appreciated. Enjoy your eggs of Astara. This is going to be the last month that you'll be able to get the spring and summer fair, so please enjoy them. My son is joining rugby. He just turned 10, and we're teaching him flag and skill building among, so they can develop a love for the game and technique. And then his age group introduces contact, but not on each other or on the large dummies, so I'm excited. Yeah, that's very fun. When I was a lad, almost all first grade players had jobs in the sports. We just did what on the weekend. Marina, thank you for the bits. Enjoy your sproutling. You have eggs of a starter and sproutling pie. Thank you for that. As you said, I do not watch sports. I prefer to participate in person. Yes, I'm with you on that. Wow, you guys started a hype train over on over on Twitch. Thank you guys. I appreciate you for that. Tips are always appreciated, my friend. You're all being very generous. I'm going to get back into the story now, so let us continue. Take a swig out of the tankard. Cheers, my friends. And let us carry on. You said Greyback attacked you? Said Mr. Weasley, asking Professor McGonagall distractedly. But he hadn't transformed. So, what does that mean? What will happen to Bill? We don't know, said Professor McGonagall, looking helplessly at Lupin. Marina, thank you for more bits. You got 2 sproutling pies now. Enjoy them. Thank you kindly, love. I appreciate you. Where was I? There will probably be some contamination, Arthur, said Lupin. It's an odd case. Possibly unique. We don't know what his behavior might be like when he awakens. Mrs. Weasley took the nasty-smelling ointment from Madame Pomfrey and began dabbing Bill's wounds. And Dumbledore, said Mr. Weasley. Minerva, is it true? Is he really? As Professor McGonagall nodded, Harry felt Ginny move beside him and looked at her. Her slightly narrowed eyes were fixed upon Fleur, who was gazing down at Bill with a frozen expression on her face. Dumbledore's gone, said Mr. Weasley, but Mrs. Weasley had eyes only for her eldest son. She began to sob, tears falling into Bill's mutilated face. Of course, it doesn't matter how he looks. It's not really important. But he was a very handsome little boy, always very handsome. And he was going to be married. And what do you mean by that? Said Fleur suddenly and loudly. What do you mean he was going to be married? Mrs. Weasley raised her tear-stained face, looking startled. Well, only that... You think Bill will not wish to marry me anymore? Demanded Fleur. You think, because of these bites, he will not love me? No, that's not what I... Because he will, said Fleur, drawing herself up to her full height and throwing back her long mane of silver hair. It would take more than a werewolf to stop Bill loving me. Well, yes, I'm sure. But, said Mrs. Weasley. But I thought, perhaps given how he... You thought I would not wish to marry him? Or perhaps you hoped? Said Fleur, her nostrils flaring. What do I care how he looks? I am glad I am good-looking enough for us both, I think. All these scars shows that my husband is brave, and I shall do that. She added fiercely, pushing Mrs. Weasley aside and snatching the ointment from her. Mrs. Weasley fell back against her husband and watched Fleur mopping Bill's wounds, with a most curious expression upon her face. Nobody said anything. Harry did not dare move. Like everybody else, he was waiting for the explosion.
Our great Auntie Muriel,
said Mrs. Weasley after a long pause,
has a beautiful tiara, goblin made, which I'm sure I could persuade her to lend you for the wedding. She's very fond of Bill. You know, and it would look lovely with your hair. Thank you, said Fleur stiffly. I am sure that would be lovely.
And then Harry did not quite see how it happened, but both women were crying and hugging each other. Completely bewildered, wondering whether the world had gone mad, he turned around. Ron looked as stunned as he felt, and Ginny and Hermione were exchanging startled looks.
You see,
said a strained voice, Tonks glaring at Lupin.
She still wants to marry him, even though he's been bitten. She doesn't care.
It's different, said Lupin, barely moving his lips and looking suddenly tense. Bill will not be a full werewolf. And the cases are completely...
I don't care either. I don't care,
said Tonks, seizing the front of Lupin's rose and shaking him.
Told you 1,000,000 times.
And the meaning of Tonks' Patronus and her mouse-coloured hair, and the reason she'd come running to find Dumbledore when she had heard the rumour that someone had been attacked by Greyback, all suddenly became clear to Harry. It had not been Sirius that Tonks had fallen in love with after all.
I've told you 1,000,000 times,
said Lupin, refusing to meet her eyes, staring at the floor.
Too old for you, too poor, too dangerous.
What are you guys doing? Marina, thank you for the combo as well. I appreciate you for that. Gigi, hello, welcome in. Wesley, hello. Gigi, thank you for the heart meat. Tips to the tavern, keep it always appreciated. Castle, I love my time here, and I thank you for the time you give to us. It means the world. Marina, thank you kindly. The generosity, the lady and I are blown away by it. Thank you so much. Philly got a touchdown. Tonks and Sirius. Sweet home Alabama. Sweet home England. People always blame that on Alabama, but I think people forget that European royalty has been... Oh! Fat Kitty. Okay, well, hello. Welcome in. Good to see you. Changed your name, so I appreciate you letting me know. It would have been very embarrassing if I thought you were someone new. But hello, welcome in. GGOG is a good name. I like it. But welcome back, Kitty. Good to see you. Alright, where was I?
I've said all along that you're being ridiculous lying on this, Remus,
said Mrs. Weasley over Fleur's shoulder as she patted on her back.
I'm not being ridiculous,
said Lupin steadily.
Tonks deserves somebody young and whole.
But she wants you, said Mr. Weasley with a small smile. After all, Remus, young and whole men do not necessarily remain so. He gestured sadly at his son lying between them.
This is not the moment to discuss it,
said Lupin, avoiding everybody's eyes as he looked around distractedly.
Dumbledore's dead. Dumbledore would have been happier than anybody to think that there was a little more love in the world,
said Professor McGonagall curtly, just as the hospital doors opened again and Hagrid walked in. The little of his face that was not obscured by hair or beard was soaking and swollen. He was shaking with tears, a vast spotted handkerchief on his hand.
We've done it, Professor,
he choked.
Moved in, Professor Sprouts. Got the kids back in bed. Professor Flickwick's lying down. But he says he'll be all right in a jiffy. And Professor Slughorn says that Ministry's been informed. Thank you, Hagrid,
said Professor McGonagall, standing up at once and turning to look at the group around Bill's bed.
I shall have to see the ministry when they get here. Hagrid, please tell the heads of houses. Slughorn can represent Slytherin. I want to see them in my office forthwith. I would like you to join us too.
Hagrid nodded and turned and shuffled out of the room again. He looked down at Harry. Before I meet them, I'd like a quick word with you, Harry. If you'll come with me. Harry stood up and murmured, "See you in a bit," to Ron, Hermione, and Ginny, and followed. Oh, that was Professor McGonagall talking, not Hagrid. My fault. And followed Professor McGonagall down the ward. The corridors outside were deserted, and the only sound was the distant Phoenix song. It was several minutes before Harry became aware that they were not heading for Professor McGonagall's office, but for Dumbledore's. And another few seconds before he realized that, of course, she had been Deputy Headmistress. Apparently, now she was Headmistress, so the room behind the gargoyle was now hers. In silence, they ascended the moving spiral staircase and entered the circular office. He did not know what he had expected, that the room would be draped in black, perhaps, or even that Dumbledore's body might be lying there. In fact, it looked almost exactly as it had done when he and Dumbledore had left it mere hours previously. Silver instruments whirring and puffing on their spindle-legged tables. Gryffindor's sword sat in its glass case gleaming in the moonlight. A sorting hat on the shelf behind the desk. But Fawkes, his perch, stood empty. He was still crying his lament to the grounds. And a new portrait had joined the ranks of the dead headmasters and headmistresses. Dumbledore was slumbering in a golden frame over the desk, his half-moon spectacles perched upon his crooked nose, looking peaceful and untroubled. After glancing once at this portrait, Professor McGonagall made an odd movement, as though steeling herself, then rounded the desk to look at Harry, with her face taut and lined. "Harry," she said, I would like to know what you and Professor Dumbledore were doing this evening when you left the school." "I can't tell you that, Professor," said Harry. He had expected the question, and he had his answer ready. It had been there in this very room that Dumbledore had told him that he was to confide the contents of their lesson to nobody but Ron and Hermione. "Harry, it might be important," said Professor McGonagall. "It is," said Harry. "Very. And he didn't want me to tell anyone." Professor McGonagall glared at him. "Potter!" Harry registered the renewed use of his surname. "In light of Professor Dumbledore's death, I think you must see that the situation has changed somewhat." "I don't think so," said Harry, shrugging. "Professor Dumbledore never told me to stop following his orders if he died." "But there's one thing you should know before the Ministry gets here, though. Madame Rosmerta's under the Imperious curse. She was helping Malfoy and the Death Eaters. That's how the necklace and the poisoned mead." "Rosmerta?" said Professor McGonagall incredulously, but before she could go on, there was a knock on the door behind them. Professors Sprout, Flitwick, Slughorn all traipsed into the room, followed by Hagrid, who was still weeping copiously, his huge frame trembling with grief. "Snape!" ejaculated Slughorn, who looked most shaken, pale, and sweating. "Snape! I thought I knew him!" But before any of them could respond to this, a sharp voice spoke high on the wall. A sallow-faced wizard with a short black fringe had just walked back into the empty canvas. "Minerva, the Minister will be here within seconds. He just disapparated from the Ministry." "Thank you, Everard," said Professor McGonagall, and she turned quickly to her teachers. "I want to talk to you about what happened to Hogwarts before he gets here," she said quickly. "Personally, I'm not convinced that the school should reopen next year. The death of the headmaster at the hands of one of our colleagues, is a terrible stain on Hogwarts history. It's horrible."
I'm sure that Dumbledore would have wanted the school to remain open, said Professor Sprout. I feel if a single pupil wants to come, then the school ought to remain for that one pupil.
But what will we have? But will we have a single pupil after this? Said Slughorn, now dabbing his sweated brow and with a silken handkerchief. Parents will want to keep their children at home, and I can't say I blame them, personally. I don't think we're in more danger at Hogwarts than we are anywhere else, but you can't expect mothers to think like that. They want to keep their families together, it's only natural. I agree, said Professor McGonagall. And in any case, it's not true that Dumbledore never envisaged a situation which Hogwarts might close. When the Chamber of Secrets reopened, he considered the closure of the school. But I must say that Professor Dumbledore's murder is more disturbing to me than the idea of Slytherin's monster living undetected in the bowels of the castle. We must consult the governors, said Professor Flitwick in his squeaky little voice. He had a large bruise on his forehead, but seemed otherwise unscathed by his collapse in Snape's office. We must follow the established procedures. The decision should be made, but not hastily. Hagrid, you haven't said anything, said Professor McGonagall. What are your views? Ought Hogwarts remain open? Hagrid, who'd been weeping silently into his large spotted handkerchief throughout this conversation, now raised puffy red eyes and croaked, I don't know, Professor. That's for the heads of house to determine. Headmistress to decide. Professor Dumbledore always valued your views, said Professor McGonagall kindly, and so do I. Well, I'm staying, said Hagrid, fat tears still leaking out of the corner of his eyes and trickling down into his tangled beard. It's me home. It's been me home since I was 13. And if there's any kids who want me to teach him, I'll do it. But I don't know. Hogwarts without Dumbledore. He gulped and disappeared behind his handkerchief once more, and there was silence. Very well, said Professor McGonagall, glancing out of the window at the grounds, checking to see if the minister was yet approaching. Then I must agree with Phileas that the right thing to do is to consult the governors, who will make the final decision. Now, as getting students home, there's an argument for doing it sooner rather than later. We could arrange for the Hogwarts Express to come tomorrow if necessary. What about Dumbledore's funeral? Said Harry, speaking at last. Well, said Professor McGonagall, losing a little bit of her briskness as her voice shook. I know that Dumbledore wished to be laid to rest here at Hogwarts. Then that's what'll happen, isn't it? Said Harry fiercely. If the Ministry thinks it's appropriate, said Professor McGonagall. No other headmaster or headmistress has ever been. No other headmaster or headmistress ever gave more to this school, growled Hagrid. Hogwarts should be Dumbledore's final resting place, said Professor Flitwick. Absolutely, said Professor Sprout. And in that case, said Harry, you shouldn't send the students home until the funeral's over. They'll want to stay. The last word caught in his throat, but Professor Sprout completed the sentence for him. Goodbye. Well said, squeaked Professor Flitwick. Well said indeed. Our students will want to pay tribute. It is fitting. We can't arrange transport home. We can arrange transport home afterward. Seconded, barked Professor Sprout. I suppose, yes, said Slughorn in a rather agitated voice, while Hagrid let out a strangled sob of assent. He's coming, said Professor McGonagall suddenly, gazing down into the grounds. The minister, and by the looks of it, he's brought a delegation. Can I leave, Professor? Said Harry at once. He had no desire at all to see or to be interrogated by Rufus Scrimgeour tonight. You may, said Professor McGonagall, and quickly. She strode towards the door and held it open for him, then he sped down the spiral staircase and off along the deserted corridor. He had left his invisibility cloak at the top of the astronomy tower, but it did not matter. There was nobody in the corridors to see him pass. Not even Filch, Mrs. Norris, or Peeves. He did not meet another soul until he turned into the passage leading to Gryffindor common room.
Is it true?
Whispered the fat lady as he approached.
Is it really true? Dumbledore dead?
Yes, said Harry. She let out a wail and, without waiting for the password, swung forward to admit him. As Harry had suspected it would be, the common room was jam-packed. The room fell silent as he climbed through the portrait hole. He saw Dean and Seamus sitting in a group nearby. This meant that the dormitory must be empty. Or nearly so. Without speaking to anybody, without making eye contact at all, he walked straight towards the room and through the door to the boys' dormitory. As he had hoped, Ron was waiting for him, still fully dressed, sitting on his bed. Harry sat down on his own four-poster and made... For a moment, they simply stared at each other.
Talking about closing the school, said Harry.
Lupin said they would, said Ron. There was a pause. So? Said Ron in a very low voice, as though he thought the furniture might be listening in.
Did you find one? Did you get it? A Horcrux?
Harry shook his head. All that had taken place around the Black Lake seemed like an old nightmare now. Had it really happened only hours ago?
You didn't get it,
said Ron, looking crestfallen.
It wasn't there.
I'm glad you enjoy yourself, Hillary and Cristalla. I'm glad all of you who come here enjoy your time. Who decides which kids get letters? I always wondered. It's a very good question. It's a very good question, Nate. It seems to be a somewhat random system, but it also seems like there is a... like the teachers might have some say in it. I don't actually know. I'll have to look it up. If anybody knows, let us know. Gonna listen till I fall asleep. May you all have the best rest tonight and most wonderful day tomorrow. Marina, thank you so much for your generosity. And thank you for coming in. It's always wonderful to see you. Please be safe and rest well. And when you rise tomorrow, be ready to face the day. Alright, where were we?
No, said Harry. Someone had already taken it and left the fake in its place.
Already taken? Wordlessly, Harry pulled the fake locket from his pocket, opened it up and passed it to Ron. The full story could wait. It did not matter tonight. Nothing mattered, except the end. The end of their pointless adventure, the end of Dumbledore's life.
R.A.B.,
Ron whispered.
But who's that?
Dunno, said Harry, lying back on his bed, fully clothed and staring blankly upward. He felt no curiosity at all about R.A.B. He doubted that he would ever feel curious again. As he lay there, he became aware suddenly that the grounds were silent. Fox had stopped singing. And he knew, without knowing how he knew, that the Phoenix had gone, had left Hogwarts for good, just as Dumbledore had left the school, had left the world, had left Harry. And so ends Chapter 29 of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I just watched the movie on Sunday. It's a hell of a thing, isn't it? They're listed in a magical book. Interesting, Maribeth. I don't think I knew that. What a chapter. So how are we feeling, friends? Do we feel like we want another one? We want another go of it? We want to finish up the book tonight so that we can start book 7 next week. Is that what we would like? It is a crazy and a sad chapter. Always LOL. Well, almost always. Almost always. Yeah. I remember when I first read the book, this was because you guys, it's no mystery to any of you. I don't find Rowling to be a particularly good writer. She's very derivative and she's very redundant in the way that she writes. But the last 3 chapters of this book, the death of Dumbledore, the aftermath, and his funeral, are some of the few that make me choke up. They make me feel like I want to cry. Sounds like a good way to keep things flowing. I agree, Frost. All right. So then, we're pretty much right on time tonight. So let me pop up and stretch, check on the lady, and then I will return. We'll do 2 songs, and so tonight, rules for songs tonight. We are going to do songs we haven't done in a while tonight. So if it's been requested in the last 3 story times, we're not going to do those. So we're going to do 2 songs that we haven't done in a while tonight, and then we will move on to chapter 30, the final chapter of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Sound good? Ashley says I go with the Matthews. Cindy says yes, please. The next book in her detective series, I didn't even know she wrote a detective series, but that's interesting. Mystery is so much different than high fantasy. So interesting. Alright, friends, if the barkeeps could do me a favor and gather some songs, I will be back in 3 to 5 minutes. All right, boys and girls, I have returned. So, for any of you who are new, first of all, welcome. I am Castle, this is my tavern, and here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore, and every now and again, I read you all bedtime stories. But what we also do is occasionally we will sing songs. Now, in between chapters or in between books, we'll take a quick break. We sing some shanties, we sing some ballads together, and then at the end of the story time, we also then sing songs. Just to mix up for the night, Esther. If we sing the same songs over and over again, then we don't get any variety. It's just for mixing up. I'm not banning any songs, just so we can have some different songs every now and again throughout the night. Because like a few months last year, there was a point where we were doing Wellerman and Leave Her Johnny, pretty much every night. No poke rap. Cindy, you said The Rose of Tarlee. I don't actually know that one. Which, by the way, everyone, look what I just got in the mail. Some of you are not going to even know what this is, but this is the next book for us in the Rift War saga. We just finished Silverthorn on Tuesday, and A Darkness in Sethinon is the very next book in the series. It's okay, I can hear it on Apple Music. Yes, indeed, Esther. Yes, indeed. So, I saw Drunken Scotsman and I saw The Mermaid. The Mermaid and the Chandler Shop are what's been asked for. Okay, so yeah, we'll do... I think Mermaid and Chandler Shop, since it seems like those were the ones that were requested first, we'll do those. And then, Sage, I'll do Drunken Scotsman for the end. And we'll do 2 more songs after that at the end. Away with it, tool. You calling me a tool, Wesley? I don't think I've been called a tool since I was like 16 years old. I'll be back after the songs when you read again. Alright, Esther, have a good evening. Off you go. Alright. Let's do the Chandler's Wife first. Now, if you know the songs... Oh, away with it too. So I do need glasses. I'm mostly blind, as it were. Oh, I should have run the ads while I was up. I'm a dum-dum. Alright, well, we'll run those real quick while I'm looking up the lyrics, and then we'll be right back. It's terrible. All right, let's pause the other music. And sing our song. I mean, it does. To me, it looks exactly like a lowercase L. Or it could be an I, but UE is, or 2E is not a word as far as I know. Alright. It's been, when did Half-Blood Prince come out? Because Half-Blood Prince was probably one of my... It was the last, because I never read book 7, so when we read book 7 together, that's going to be the first time I've ever read it. I didn't read it when it came out. So, 2005. So I read this book the year it came out. So it would have been 20 years ago. No, wait, did this book come out in 2005? That's wild to think. That is... Yeah, 2005. That's insane. No, you're right. 2005. Yeah, that's crazy to think. Because that means that this book came out 20 years ago. Which means the first time that I read this book and the last time that I read this book was 20 years ago. Alright, friends. Stay tuned for the songs. I know it's so long, we're all so old. What a privilege to age, isn't it? It's basically ancient history. The Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince came out 20 years ago, Esther. It's wild to think. 20 years is such a long time to pass in such a short amount of time. Alright, let us do the Chandler's Wife, and then we will do the Mermaid Song, and then we'll get back into the final chapter of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I remember waiting in line with my mom to buy it, and everyone was dressed up. It's crazy to think. Like, the Harry Potter culture of 20 years ago was insane. Like, it was a cultural phenomenon then, and just seeing how it's progressed. It's got its own theme park. It's got 2 of its own theme parks. 3, actually. Yeah, it is. It's crazy. It is crazy. All right. Oh my, 20 years? Yeah, 20 years it's insane. All right. As I went into the chandler shop, some candles for to buy. I went into the chandler shop and nothing did I spy. Now I was disappointed, and some angry words I said when I heard the sound of a right above me head. Oh, I heard the sound of a right above me head. Well, I was quick and I was slick, so up the stairs I fled, and very surprised was I to find the chandler's wife in bed, and with her was another man of quite considerable size, and they were having a right before me eyes. Oh, they were having a right before me eyes. Now, when the fun was over and done, the lady raised her head, and very surprised was she to find me standing by the bed. If you would be discreet, me boy, if you would be so kind, I'll let you come up for some whenever you feel inclined. Oh, why don't you come up for some whenever you feel inclined? So many's a night and many's a day when the chandler wasn't home, to get myself some candles to the chandler's shop I'd roam. But nary a one she'd give to me instead, just a little bit more of that, to light me way to bed. Oh, a little bit more of that, to light me way to bed. So take heed, all you married men, if ever you go into town, if you leave your wife alone, be sure to lie her down. And if you'd be so good to her, just lay down there on the floor and give her so much of the she doesn't want any more. Oh, give her so much of the she doesn't want any more. Ha! Thank you for the song, my friends. Absolutely lovely. And next we'll do the Mermaid Song. Not sure about you. I'm bracing myself now that the television show is likely going to be terrible. Like, we just have to accept the fact that there have been no good remakes, reboots, or sequels made in the last 15 years. There just have not been. All of the adaptations have been bad. All of the sequels have been bad. All the adaptations have been bad. All of the remakes and reboots have been bad. There has not been a single good one, or at least not a one that was even close to the quality of the originals. So we just have to steel ourselves for understand that they're just not going to be good. Let them die, let them pass, and wait for the next era of storytellers to take over that actually care about the stories and the things that they're making. Because I talked about this, I think, on it's either last week or on Tuesday, that we need to acknowledge how much of a phenomenon Harry Potter as a movie series was. First of all, she completed all of the books before the movies were done. That's a miracle. That never happens. Look at George R. Martin, right? But secondly, they made 7 films, each film less than a year apart, or roughly like a year to a year and a half apart, with all of the same actors except for those who died, all the way up to the end. And there were no problems. Like, sure, the later movies weren't quite as good as the earlier movies as far as like how accurate they were to the book, but they made all those films with no hiccups. Am I correct that there are a couple of more books? A couple of more books. We have one more book in the Harry Potter series, yes. I'm hopeful the new Eragon series, since Poloni is so heavily involved, I hope so. I really, really hope so, because the film was an absolute disaster. If it's not too much trouble, Bear, yeah, I won't be watching the TV show. There's really no point, and I feel bad because they're like the new kids who are involved. Like, they're clearly excited to be involved with it, but it's just it's not going to be as good as the films were, and people are not going. It'll get its own fan base. Like, there'll be its own new group of people who enjoy it, but it's always going to be looked at as second best to the original. Especially if it does something dumb like try to subvert what the original did. That's terrible. 7 books, 8 movies, not counting Fantastic. Right. They did 8 movies, back to back to back to back, less than a year and a half apart for each film. And they had no major hiccups. Like, that would be... That's insane. We've never seen anything like that ever happen in Hollywood before. It would be my pleasure to be... I appreciate you're always useful and pleasant, Bear. I appreciate you. I'm just not excited about it. I guess it's kind of neat. It'll be set in the 90s like it should be. Yeah, it is like, it's a neat concept. You know that they're going to mishandle it, even with Rowling being directly involved. And it just is what it is. I just bought Murtaugh today. You'll have to let me know what you think of it. Sage, I haven't read Murtaugh yet. I stopped... See, because I was reading Eragon as it came out, so I actually stopped at Eldest, the second book. I didn't even make it to Brazinger, so... And we have Warwick Davis, which is nice. That's a good thing to know. The way I like to think about it is the new series coming up. It's the Harry Potter in another time, which is really a good way to look at it. I have sequelitis biased. Anytime that something is being rebooted, remade, or a sequel of, I am always going to be hypercritical of it, because it's trying to capitalize off the nostalgia of a thing that was already very successful, and that means that it has a greater duty to respect the story of the original. And did you know TikTok is going to start taking more of a percentage of the people's gifts and mandatory self-price? Yeah, it's one of the reasons, Kai, is one of the reasons why I don't ask anybody to give while we're on stories. I appreciate tips to the Tavern Keeper. I appreciate anybody who wants to support. It means the world to the lady and I. But absolutely, it's not something that I ever want to ask for, because Twitch takes a lot, YouTube takes a lot, TikTok takes a lot. The only platform that doesn't take a lot is Kick. They give you like 90% of whatever it is that's supposed to go to you. But I don't feel right asking you guys to gift, even though that's how we make money to do this. I don't feel comfortable asking because of how much money the platforms take. It's so expensive for no reason at all. I've been wanting to reread the whole series. I have the whole thing. Oh, that's spectacular, Sage. I should go back and read it. It'll probably be the next family-friendly book that gets voted in if I'm understanding the polls correctly. Once we're done with Harry Potter, we'll probably go into Eragon. I've said it before, no studio will get my story without my creative control. Yeah, and it's like what we saw with The Witcher. Like, I've been a fan of The Witcher for ages, And the first two seasons were okay. They weren't perfect. They had their problems. But because Cavill was there, like, defending standing at the gate defending things, they were okay. Like, they were watchable and there was a lot of good about them. But they just didn't do as well as they could have. All right, let's get the Mermaid song done by Great Big Sea. Yes, it's a waste that tips are directed towards the platform. I would prefer to direct them towards... As you should, Esther, as you should. Yeah. And again, like, the lady and I appreciate everybody who wants to support what we do. Obviously, it would be impossible for us to do these things for free. And I do value my time, but when 30 to 50% of everything you're spending is going to the platform, when they already make a bunch of money off of us on ads and other things, I just don't feel comfortable asking for that. So I leave it up to you all if you want to do it, and I have other ways that you guys are able to contribute in the meantime. Yeah, which is why we have like a coffee thing set up for tipping if people want to do it that way. Yeah, we also have Patreon and we have gold memberships and all of those other things for anybody who wants to support the work that we do. So, but again, the lady and I don't ever ask for that. If people ask, I will tell them, but it's not something we actively promote because we do this because we love it, and obviously we can't do it for free. I know that Bear's gonna get all up on me for for it, but maybe if I'd read the books, I might have been able to get into The Witcher, but I just couldn't. The books are confusing too. Like, the books are very densely written, so yeah, it is. And by his book, thank you, Ashley. I appreciate you. Yeah, the festival's book is well worth a read indeed. If you enjoy old world traditions, these are the traditions of my family. That's what Ashley is referencing. I tip because you never ask and your time is worth it. And I appreciate it, Kai. And I appreciate you thinking that my time is valuable enough for it. It means the world to the lady and I. And again, I would do this, maybe not as much, but I would do this for free because I love it so much. But again, we have a family and we have a bunch of things we're trying to make for the community, and those things can't be done for free. So I understand there's a business aspect to it. But I would prefer that if I have something that is valuable and you want it, I will tell you that it's there, and if you want it, go and get it. I'm not going to sell myself to and convince people to go and get it. If I am making something that's valuable, I think that people will go towards it. And again, I've been in business for a long time. That's not a great way to do it. That's actually a very bad way to do it. But I prefer to focus on the stories rather than on the money side of it. And I think that if we tell good stories and we give a good experience, then it'll come. Fuck, hello, long time no see. Before bed, well, we're gonna do one more song and then I'll start a chapter, so you'll be able to have a song in the background while you get ready for bed. But it's something I have to get used to. I give my time to the tavern, and my time to me is more valuable than money to me. I don't know how long I've been in the tavern, Goa, but I am ever so grateful to have found a place, and all of you. It's been a while now, Crystal. It's probably been well over a year, I think. Australia has high living costs and limited financial resources. Yeah, and things are tough around the world, which is why I don't impose and ask for money. Because if people have it and it's valuable, people will give it. If what I do is valuable to individuals and they have the money to give, or they want to buy something that we make, then they will. I don't feel the need to force that upon people. We appreciate you. Well, thank you, Hillary. I appreciate it. And again, like, there are great ways that you guys can support creators without ever having to drop a dollar. You can watch videos, you can share them, and you can engage with them and enjoy them. And I don't just say that for me. If you have creators you like, that's one of the best things you can do to support if you can't buy the things or subscribe or anything like that. Then best thing you can do is just be very supportive of the content. It's more valuable than you could possibly know. Nearly 2 years for me in the tavern? Absolutely. Absolutely. Sage, I'm about halfway through Murtaugh. How are you enjoying it, Bear? Because, again, I haven't read it yet. We missed you too, Puck, but your seat is still open, so go ahead and grab it. I'm just gonna go around being your kingpin and telling people you better buy his book. You and Bear are starting the tavern mafia, huh? I remember spending New Year's Eve with you all in here, and it was one of the best New Year's I've ever had. Yeah, New Year's was very good. I did enjoy it. Castle, I've given you something I've never given another creator, my friendship. Hearties, Matty. Alright, let's sing this song, friends. When I was a lad in a fishing town, the old man said to me, "You can spend your life, your jolly life, sailing on the sea. You can search the world for pretty girls till your eyes are weak and dim. But don't go searching for a mermaid, son, if you don't know how to swim." 'Cause her hair was green as seaweed, her skin was blue and pale, her face it was a work of art. I loved that girl with all my heart. But I only liked the upper part. I did not like the tail. I signed on to a sailing ship my very first day at sea. I'd seen a mermaid in the waves reaching out to me. "Come live with me in the sea," she said, "down on the ocean floor. I'll show you a million wondrous things you've never seen before." So over I jumped and she pulled me down to her seaweed bed. On a pillow made of tortoise shell she placed beneath my head. She fed me shrimp and caviar upon a silver dish. From her head to her waist she was just my taste, but the rest of her was a fish. 'Cause her hair was green as seaweed, her skin was blue and pale, her face it was a work of art. I loved that girl with all my heart, but I only liked the upper part, I did not like the tail. But then one day she swam away, so I sang to the clams and the whales. Oh, how I miss her seaweed hair and the silver shine of her scales. But then her sister, she swam by, and she set my heart a-whirl. 'Cause her upper part was an ugly fish, but her bottom part was a girl. Oh yes, her hair was green as seaweed, her skin was blue and pale, her legs they were a work of art. I loved that girl with all my heart. I don't give a damn about the upper part, 'cause that's how I get my tail. Thank you for the song, my friends. That is The Mermaid by Great Big Sea, and it is a very silly song. And a nice little bit of levity before we get into Dumbledore's funeral. Maddie, you're going to be in the Tavern Cult and the Tavern Mafia? You're all over the place, my friend. Really enjoying it, but it's a huge book, and I left it at home in Melbourne. Oh, I see. I would. That makes sense. Polini he's a very dense writer. Like him and Sanderson have that in common. They like a dense book. Is that surprising? No, not really. It is a fun one, Hillary. All right, let us get back into it, my friends. Chapter 30 of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. The White Tomb. All lessons were suspended, all examinations postponed. Some students were hurried away from Hogwarts by their parents over the next couple of days. The Patil twins were gone before breakfast on the morning following Dumbledore's death, and Zacharias Smith was escorted from the castle by his haughty-looking father. Seamus Finnegan, on the other hand, refused point-blank to accompany his mother home. They had a shouting match in the entrance hall. That was resolved when she agreed that he could remain for the funeral. She had difficulty in finding a bed in Hogsmeade. Seamus told Harry and Ron, for wizards and witches were pouring into the village, preparing to pay their last respects to Dumbledore. Some excitement was caused among the younger students, who had never seen it before, when a powder blue carriage the size of a house, pulled by a dozen giant-winged palmettos, came soaring out of the sky in the late afternoon, before the funeral, and landed on the edge of the forest. Harry watched from a window as a gigantic, handsome, olive-skinned, black-haired woman descended the carriage steps and threw herself into the waiting Hagrid's arms. Meanwhile, a delegation of ministry officials, including the Minister of Magic himself, was being accompanied within the castle. Harry was diligently avoiding contact with any of them. He was sure that sooner or later he would be asked again to account for Dumbledore's last excursion from Hogwarts. Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Ginny were spending all their time together. The beautiful weather seemed to mock them. Harry could imagine how it would have been if Dumbledore had not died, and they had spent this time together at the very end of the year. Ginny's examinations finished, the pressure of homework lifted, and hour by hour he put off saying the thing that he knew he must say, doing what he knew was right to do, because it was too hard to forego his best source of comfort. They visited the hospital wing twice a day. Neville had been discharged, but Bill remained under Madame Pomfrey's care. His scars were as bad as ever. In truth, he now bore a distinct resemblance to Mad-Eye Moody, though thankfully both his eyes and legs. But in personality he seemed just the same as ever. All that appeared to have changed was he now had a great liking for very rare steaks.
So it is Lucky is marrying me,
said Fleur happily, pumping up Bill's pillow.
because the British overcook their meat. I have always said this. Suppose I'm going to have to accept that he's really going to marry her,
said Ginny later that evening, as she, Harry, Ron, and Hermione sat beside the open window of the Gryffindor common room, looking out over the twilit grounds. She's not that bad, said Harry. Ugly, though, he added hastily, as Ginny raised her eyebrows and let out a reluctant giggle.
Well, I suppose if Mum can stand it, I can. Anyone else we know died? Ron asked Hermione, who was perusing the Evening Prophet. Hermione winced at the forced toughness in his voice. No, she said reprovingly, folding up the newspaper. They're still looking for Snape, but no sign. Of course there isn't, said Harry, who became angry every time the subject was cropped up. They won't find Snape until they find Voldemort. And seeing that they've never managed to do that in all this time. I'm going to bed, yawned Ginny. I haven't been sleeping that well since, well, I could do with some sleep. She kissed Harry. Ron looked away pointedly, waved at the other two, and departed for the girls' dormitory. The moment the door had closed behind her, Hermione leaned forward towards Harry with the most harmonious look on her face. Harry, I found something out in the library this morning. R.A.B., said Harry, sitting up straight. He did not feel the way he had so often felt before, excited, curious, burning to get to the bottom of the mystery. He simply knew the task of discovering the truth about the real Horcrux had to be completed before he could move a little further along the dark and winding path stretched ahead of him. The path that he and Dumbledore had set out upon together, and which he now knew he would have to journey alone. There might still be as many as 4 Horcruxes out there somewhere, and each would need to be found and eliminated before there was even a possibility that Voldemort could be killed. He kept reciting their names to himself, as though by listing them he could bring them within reach. The locket, the cut, the snake. Something of Gryffindors or Ravenclaws. The locket, the cut, the snake. Something of Gryffindors or Ravenclaws. This mantra seemed to pulse through Harry's mind as he fell asleep at night, and his dreams were thick with cups, lockets, and mysterious objects that he could not quite reach. Though Dumbledore helpfully offered Harry a rope ladder that turned to snakes the moment he began to climb. He had shown Hermione the note inside the locket the morning after Dumbledore's death, and although she had not immediately recognized the initials as belonging to some obscure wizard about whom she had been reading, she had since been rushing off to the library a little more often than usual, and was strictly necessary for somebody who had to do their homework.
No, she said sadly.
I have been trying, Harry, but I haven't found anything. There are a couple of reasonably well-known wizards with those initials. Rosalind Antigone Bungs, Rupert Axbanger Brookstanton. But they don't seem to fit at all, judging by that note. The person who stole the Horcrux knew Voldemort. And I can't find a shred of evidence that Bungs or Axbanger ever had anything to do with him. No, actually, it's about, well, Snape.
She looked nervous, even saying the name again. What about him? Said Harry heavily, slumping back in his chair.
Well, it's just I was sort of right about the Half-Blood Prince business,
she said tentatively.
You don't have to rub it in, Hermione. How do you think I feel about that now? No, Harry, I didn't mean that,
she said hastily, looking around to check that they were not being overheard.
It's just that I was right about Eileen Prince once owning the book. You see, she was Snape's mother.
I thought she wasn't much of a looker, said Ron. Hermione ignored him.
I was going through the rest of the Old Prophets, and there was a tiny announcement about Eileen Prince marrying a man called Tobias Snape. And then later an announcement saying that she'd given birth to
a murderer, spat Harry.
Well, yes, said Hermione. So I was sort of right. Snape must have been proud of being a half-prince, you see. Tobias Snape was a muggle, from what it said in the Prophet.
Yeah, that fits, said Harry.
He'd play up the pureblood side so he could get in with Lucius Malfoy and the rest of them. It's just like Voldemort.
Pure-blood mother, muggle father, ashamed of his parentage, trying to make himself feared using the dark arts, gave himself an impressive new name, Lord Voldemort, the half-blooded prince. How could Dumbledore have... Oh, this is Harry speaking. Sorry. Oh, no, back. CK Vertigo. Thank you for the follow over on TikTok, my friend. Welcome to the tavern. So very glad that you have marked us on your map, so you can find your way back the very next time you seek a story. Grab a seat, settle in. We are almost finished with chapter 30 of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Tim, hello. Hey, Castle, how's it going? If I may be so bold, I would love a video chat with you. Yeah, we can schedule something, Tim. Shoot me a message over in the guild and we'll arrange something.
Pure-blood mother, muggle father, ashamed of his parentage, trying to make himself feared using the dark arts. Gave himself an impressive new name, Lord Voldemort, the Half-Blood Prince. How could Dumbledore have missed? He broke off. He looked out the window. He could not stop dwelling upon Dumbledore's inexcusable trust in Snape. But as Hermione had just inadvertently reminded him, he, Harry, had been taken in just the same. In spite of the increasing nastiness of the scribbled spells, he refused to believe ill of the boy who had been so clever, who had helped him so much. Helped him? It was an almost unendurable thought now. I still don't get why he didn't turn you in for using that book, said Ron. He must have known where you were getting it all from. He knew, said Harry bitterly. He knew I used Sectum Sempra. He didn't really need Legomancy. He might have known before then, when Slughorn was talking about how brilliant I was at potions. Shouldn't have left his old book in the bottom of the cupboard, should he? But why didn't he turn you in? I don't know. I don't think he wanted to associate himself with that book. I don't know. I don't think he wanted to associate himself with that book, said Hermione. I don't think Dumbledore would have liked it very much if he'd known. And even Snape pretended it hadn't been his. Even if Snape had pretended it hadn't been it, Slughorn would have recognized his writing at once. Anyway, the book was left in Snape's old classroom. And I bet Dumbledore knew his mother was called Prince. I should have shown the book to Dumbledore, said Harry. All that time, he was showing me how Voldemort was evil even when he was at school, and I had proof Snape was too. Evil is a strong word, said Hermione quietly. You were the one who kept telling me the book was dangerous. I'm trying to say, Harry, you're putting too much blame on yourself. I thought the prince seemed to have a nasty sense of humour, but I would never have guessed he was a potential killer. None of us could have guessed Snape would, you know, said Ron. Silence fell between them, each of them lost in their own thoughts. But Harry was sure that they, like him, were thinking about the following morning, when Dumbledore's body would be laid to rest. He had never attended a funeral before. There had been no body to bury when Sirius had died. He did not know what to expect, and was a little worried about what he might see, about how he would feel. He wondered whether Dumbledore's death would be more real to him once it was over, though he had moments when the horrible fact of it threatened to overwhelm him. There were blank stretches of numbness where, despite the fact that nobody was talking about anything else in the whole castle, he still found it difficult to believe that Dumbledore had really gone. Admittedly, he had not, as he had with Sirius, looked desperately for some kind of loophole, some way that Dumbledore would come back. He felt his pocket for a cold chain of the fake Horcrux, which he now carried with him everywhere, not as a talisman, but as a reminder of what it had cost, and what still remained to do. Harry rose early to pack the next day. The Hogwarts Express would be leaving after an hour after the funeral. Downstairs he found the mood in the great hall subdued. Everybody was wearing their dress robes, and no one seemed very hungry. Professor McGonagall had left the throne-like chair in the middle of the staff table empty. Hagrid's chair was deserted too. Harry thought that perhaps he had not been able to face breakfast, but Snape's place had been unceremoniously filled by Rufus Scrimgeour. Harry avoided his yellowish eyes as they scanned the hall. Harry had the uncomfortable feeling that Scrimgeour was looking for him. Among Scrimgeour's entourage, Harry spotted a red-haired, horn-rimmed glasses of Percy Weasley. Ron gave no sign that he was aware of Percy, apart from stabbing pieces of kipper with unwanted venom. Over at the Slytherin table, Crabbe and Goyle were muttering together. Hulking boys though they were, they looked oddly lonely without the tall, pale figure of Malfoy between them, bossing them around. Harry had not spared Malfoy much thought. His animosity was all for Snape, but he had not forgotten the fear in Malfoy's voice atop the tower, nor the fact that he had lowered his wand before the Death Eaters had arrived. Harry did not believe that Malfoy would have killed Dumbledore. He despised Malfoy still for his infatuation with the dark arts, but now the tiniest drop of pity mingled with his dislike. But Harry wondered, was Malfoy now, and what was Voldemort making him do on the threat of killing him and his parents? Harry's thoughts were interrupted by a nudge in the ribs from Ginny. Professor McGonagall had risen to her feet, and the mournful hum of the hall died away at once.
It is nearly time,
she said.
Please follow your heads of houses out into the grounds. Gryffindors, after me.
They filed out from behind their benches in their silence. Harry glimpsed Slughorn at the head of the Slytherin column, wearing magnificent, long green emerald robes embroidered with silver. He had never seen Professor Sprout, head of the Hufflepuffs, look so clean. There was not a single patch on her hat, and when they reached the entrance hall, they found Madame Pince standing beside Filch.
She in a thick black veil that fell to her knees, and he in an ancient black suit and a tie reeking of mothballs. They were heading, as Harry saw when they stepped out into the stone steps of the front door, towards the lake. The warmth of the sun caressed his face as they followed Professor McGonagall in silence to the place where hundreds of chairs had been set in rows. An aisle ran down the centre of it. There was a marble table standing in the front, all chairs facing it. It was a beautiful summer's day. An extraordinary assortment of people had already settled into the half of the chairs, shabby and smart, old and young. Harry did not recognize but a few of them, including members of the Order of the Phoenix. Kingsley Shacklebolt, Mad-Eye Moody, Tonks, her hair miraculously returned to the vividest pink. Remus Lupin, with whom she seemed to be holding hands, Mr. and Mrs. Weasley, Bill, supported by Fleur, and followed by Fred and George, who were wearing jackets of black dragon skin. Black dragon skin? Black dragon mentioned. Sandria, hello, thank you for the heartbeat. Tips to the tavern keeper always appreciated. Then there was Madame Maxime, who took up 2.5 chairs on her own. Tom, the landlord of the Leaky Cauldron in London, Annabella Figg, Harry's squib neighbour, the hairy bass player from the wizarding group The Weird Sisters, Ernie Preng, driver of the night bus, Madame Malkin of the robe shop in Diagon Alley, and some of the people whom Harry merely knew by sight, such as the barman of the Hogshead and the witch who pushed the trolley at the Hogwarts Express. The castle ghosts were there too, barely visible in the bright sunlight, discernible only when they moved, shimmering insubstantially on the gleaming air. Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Ginny filled seats at the end of a row beside the lake. People were whispering, Susan, thank you for the heart, my love. Tips to the tavern keeper always appreciated. Thank you kindly. People were whispering to each other. It sounded like a breeze in the grass. But the bird's song was louder by far. The crowd continued to swell. With a great rush of affection for them, both of them, Harry saw Neville being helped into a seat by Luna. Neville and Luna alone of the DA had responded to Hermione's summons the night that Dumbledore had died, and Harry knew why. They were the ones who had missed the DA most. Probably the ones who had checked their coins regularly in the hope that there would be another meeting. Cornelius Fudge walked past toward the front rows, his expression miserable, twirling his green bowler hat as usual. Harry next recognized Rita Skeeter, who, he was infuriated to see, had a notebook clutched in her red taloned hand, and then, with a worse jolt of fury, Dolores Umbridge. An unconvincing expression of grief on her toad-like face. A black velvet bow set atop her iron-colored curls. At the sight of the centaur Firenze, who was standing like a sentinel near the water's edge, she gave a start and scurried hastily to a seat a good distance away. The staff was seated at last. Harry could see Scrimgeour looking grave and dignified in the front row with Professor McGonagall. He wondered whether Scrimgeour, or any of these people were really sorry that Dumbledore was dead. But then he heard music, strange otherworldly music, and he forgot his dislike of the ministry. In looking around for the source of it, he was not the only one. Many heads were turning, searching, a little alarmed.
In there,
Ginny whispered in Harry's ear. Then he saw them, in the clear, green, sunlit water, inches below the surface, reminding him horribly of the Inferi. Chorus of mer-people singing in their strange language. He did not understand. Their pallid faces rippling, their purplish hair flowing all around them. The music made the hair on Harry's neck stand up, and yet it was not unpleasant. It spoke very clearly of loss and despair. and he looked down into the wild faces of the singers. He had the feeling that they, at least, were sorry for Dumbledore's passing. Then Ginny nudged him again, and he looked around. Hagrid was walking slowly up the aisle between the chairs. He was crying, quite silently, his face gleaming with tears, and in his arms, wrapped in purple velvet spangled with golden stars, was what Harry knew to be Dumbledore's body. A sharp pain rose in Harry's throat at this sight. For a moment, the strange music and the knowledge that Dumbledore's body was so close seemed to take all the warmth from the day. Harry looked white and shocked. Tears were falling thick and fast into both Ginny's and Hermione's lap. They could not see clearly what was happening at the front. Hagrid seemed to have placed the body carefully upon the table. Now he retreated down the aisle, blowing his nose with loud trumpeting noises that drew scandalized looks from some, including, Harry saw, Dolores Umbridge. Harry knew that Dumbledore would not have cared. He tried to make a friendly gesture to Hagrid as he passed, but Hagrid's eyes were so swollen it was a wonder he could see where he was going. Harry glanced at the back row to which Hagrid was heading and realized what was guiding him, for there, dressed in a jacket, trousers, each the size of a small marquee, was the giant Grop. His great, ugly, boulder-like head bowed, docile, almost human. Hagrid sat down next to his half-brother, and Grop patted Hagrid hard on the head, so that his chair legs sank into the ground. Harry had a wonderful momentary urge to laugh, but then the music stopped, and he turned to face the front again. A little, tufty-haired man in plain black robes got to his feet and stood now in front of Dumbledore's body. Harry could not hear what he was saying. Odd words floated back to them over hundreds of heads.
Ability of spirit, intellectual contribution, greatness of heart.
It did not mean very much. It had little to do with Dumbledore as Harry had known him. He suddenly remembered Dumbledore's idea of a few words: nitwit, oddment, blubber, and tweak, and again had to suppress a grin. What was the matter with him? There was a soft splashing noise to his left, and he saw that the merpeople had broken the surface to listen too. He remembered Dumbledore crouching to the water's edge 2 years ago, very close to where Harry sat now, and conversing in Mermish with the mer chieftainess. Harry wondered where Dumbledore had learned Mermish. There was so much he had never asked him, so much he should have. And then, without warning, it swept over him, the dreadful truth, more completely and undeniably than it had until now. Dumbledore was dead. Gone. He clutched the cold locket in his hand so tightly that it hurt, but he could not prevent the hot tears from spilling from his eyes. He looked away from Ginny and the others and stared out over the lake, toward the forest, as the little man in black droned on. There was movement among the trees. The centaurs had come to pay their respects too. They did not move into the open, but Harry saw them standing quiet and still, half hidden in the shadows, watching the wizards, their bows hanging at their sides. And Harry remembered the first nightmarish trip into the forest, the first time he ever encountered the thing that was then Voldemort. And now he had to face him. And how he and Dumbledore had discussed fighting, and a losing battle not long thereafter. It was important, Dumbledore said, to fight, and to fight again, and keep fighting. For only then could evil be kept at bay, though never quite eradicated. And Harry saw very clearly, as he sat there, hot under the sun, how people who cared about him had stood in front of him one by one. His mother, his father, his godfather, and finally Dumbledore, all determined to protect him. But now that was over. He could not let anybody else stand between him and Voldemort. He must abandon forever the illusion he ought to have lost at the age of 1, that the shelter of a parent's arms meant nothing could hurt him. There was no waking from his nightmare, no comforting whisper in the dark that he was safe really, that it was all his imagination. The last and greatest of his protectors had died, and he was more alone than he ever had been. The little man in black had stopped speaking at last and resumed his seat. Harry waited for somebody else to get to their feet. He expected speeches, probably from the minister, but nobody moved. Then several people screamed. Bright, white flames had erupted around Dumbledore's body, and the table upon which it lay. Higher and higher they rose, obscuring the body. White smoke spiraled into the air and made strange shapes. Harry thought for one heart-stopping moment that he saw a phoenix fly joyfully into the blue, but the next second the fire had vanished. In its place was a white marble tomb, encasing Dumbledore's body, and the table on which he had rested. There were a few more cries of shock as a shower of arrows soared through the air, but they fell far short of the crowd. It was, Harry knew, the centaur's tribute. He saw them turn tail and disappear back into the cool trees. Likewise, the merpeople sank slowly back into the green water and were lost from view. Harry looked at Ginny, Ron, and Hermione. Ron's face was screwed up as though the sunlight was blinding him. Hermione's face was glazed with tears, but Ginny was no longer crying. She met Harry's gaze with the same hard, blazing look that he had seen when she had hugged him after winning the Quidditch Cup in his absence, and he knew that at that moment they understood each other perfectly, and that when he told her what he was going to do now, she would not say be careful or don't do it, but accept his decision, because she would not have expected anything less of him. And so he steeled himself to say what he'd known he must say ever since Dumbledore had died. Ginny, listen, he said very quietly as the buds of conversation grew around them, and the people began to get to their feet. I can't be involved with you anymore. Got to stop seeing each other, and we can't be together. She said with an oddly twisted smile. It's for some stupid, noble reason, isn't it? It's been like something out of someone else's life, these last few weeks with you, said Harry. But I can't. We can't. I've got things to do alone. She did not cry. She simply looked at him. Voldemort uses people his enemies are close to. He's already used you as bait once. And that was just because you were my best friend's sister. Think about how much danger you'll be in if we keep this up. He'll know. He'll find out. He'll try and get to me through you. What if I don't care? Said Ginny fiercely. I care, said Harry. How do you think I'd feel if this was your funeral and it was my fault? She looked away from him over the lake. I never really gave up on you, she said. Not really. I always hoped. Hermione told me to get on with life. Maybe go out with some other people and relax a bit around you. Because I never used to be able to talk to you when we were in the room, remember? And she thought you might take it a bit more notice if I was a bit more myself. Smart girl, that Hermione, said Harry, trying to smile. I just wish I'd asked you sooner. Could have had ages, months, years maybe. But you've been too busy saving the wizarding world, said Ginny, half laughing. Well, I can't say I'm surprised. I knew this would happen in the end. I knew you wouldn't be happy unless you were hunting Voldemort. Maybe that's why I like you so much. Harry could not bear to hear these things, nor did he think his resolution would hold if he remained sitting beside her. Ron, he saw, was now holding Hermione and stroking her hair, while she sobbed into his shoulder, tears dripping from the end of his own long nose. With a miserable gesture, Harry got up, turned his back on Ginny and on Dumbledore's tomb, and walked away around the lake. Moving felt much more bearable than sitting still. Just as setting out as soon as possible to track down the Horcruxes and kill Voldemort would feel better than waiting to do it. Harry! He turned. Rufus Grimgoyle was limping rapidly toward him around the bank, leaning on his walking stick. I've been hoping to have a word. Do you mind if I walk a little way with you? No, said Harry indifferently, and he set off again. Harry, this was a dreadful tragedy, said Scrimgeour quietly. Cannot tell you how appalled I am to hear of it. Dumbledore was a very great wizard. We had our disagreements, as you know. But no one knows better than I. What do you want? Said Harry flatly. Scrimgeour looked annoyed, but as before, hastily modified his expression to one of sorrowful understanding. You're, of course, devastated, he said. I know that you were very close to Dumbledore. I think you may have been his favourite pupil ever. The bond between the two of you. What do you want? Harry repeated, coming to a halt. Scrimgeour stopped too, leaned on his stick, and stared at Harry, his expression shrewd now. The word is that you were with him when he left the school that night, that he died. Whose word? Said Harry. Somebody stupefied a Death Eater, the top of the tower, till Dumbledore died. There were also 2 broomsticks up there. Ministry can add 2 and 2, Harry. I'm glad to hear it, said Harry. Well, where I went with Dumbledore and what I did is my business, and he didn't want people to know. Such loyalty is admirable, of course, said Scrimgeour, who seemed to be restraining his irritation with difficulty. Dumbledore is gone, Harry. He's gone. He will only be gone from the school when none here are loyal to him, said Harry, smiling in spite of himself. My dear boy, even Dumbledore cannot return from the... I'm not saying he can. You wouldn't understand, but I've got nothing to tell you. Scrimgeour hesitated and then said, in what was evidently supposed to be a tone of delicacy. Ministry can offer you all sorts of protection, you know, Harry. I'd be delighted to place a couple of my auras in your service. Harry laughed. Voldemort wants to kill me himself, and auras won't stop him. Thanks for the offer, but no thanks. So, Scrimgeour, his voice cold now. Request I made of you at Christmas. What request? Oh yeah. The one where I tell the world what a great job you're doing in exchange for raising everyone's morale, snapped Scrimgeour. Harry considered him for a moment. Release Stan Schomburg yet? Scrimgeour turned a nasty colour purple, highly reminiscent of Uncle Vernon. I see you are Dumbledore's man, through and through, said Harry. That's right. Scrimgeour glared at him for another moment. Then he turned and limped away without another word. Harry could see Percy and the rest of the Ministry delegation waiting for him, casting nervous glances at the sobbing Hagrid and Grop, who were still in their seats. Ron and Hermione were hurrying towards Harry, passing Scrimgeour, going in the opposite direction. Harry turned and walked slowly on, waiting for them to catch up. Which they finally did, in the shade of the beech tree under which they had sat in happier times. What did Scrimgeour want? Hermione whispered.
Same as he wanted at Christmas, said Harry. Wanted me to give him inside information on Dumbledore, be the Ministry's new poster boy. Ron seemed to struggle with himself for a moment. Then he said loudly to Hermione, "Look, let me go back and hit Percy." "No," she said firmly, grabbing his arm. "It'll make me feel better." Harry laughed. Hermione grinned a little, though her smile faded as she looked up at the castle. "I can't bear the idea that we might never come back," she said softly. "How can Hogwarts close?" "Maybe it won't," said Ron. "We're not in any more danger here than we are at home, are we? Everywhere else is the same now. I'd even say Hogwarts is safer. There are more wizards inside to defend the place. What do you reckon, Harry?" "I'm not coming back even if it does reopen," said Harry. Ron gaped at him, but Hermione said sadly, "I knew you were going to say that. But then what will you do?" "Going back to the Dursleys once more, as Dumbledore wanted me to," said Harry. "It'll be a short visit, then I'll be gone for good." "But where will you go if you don't come back to the school?" "I thought I might go back to Godric's Hollow," Harry muttered. He had had the idea in his head ever since the night of Dumbledore's death. For me, it all started there, all of it. I just got a feeling I need to go there, and I can visit my parents' graves. I'd like that. "And then what?" said Ron. "Then I've got to track down the rest of the Horcruxes, haven't I?" said Harry. His eyes upon Dumbledore's white tomb, reflected in the water on the other side of the lake. "That's what he wanted me to do. That's why he told me all about them. Dumbledore was right, and I'm sure he was. There are still 4 of them out there. I've got to find them and destroy them. And then I've got to go for the 7th bit of Voldemort's soul, the bit that's still in his body. I'm the one who's going to kill him. And if I meet Severus Snape along the way," he added, "so much better for me. So much worse for him." There was a long silence. The crowd had almost dispersed now. Stragglers giving the monumental figure of Grop a wide berth as he cuddled Hagrid, whose howls of grief were still echoing across the water. "We'll be there, Harry," said Ron. "What?" "At your aunt and uncle's house," said Ron. "And then we'll go with you wherever you're going." "No," said Harry quickly. He had not counted on this. He had meant them to understand that he was taking the most dangerous journey alone. "You said this to us once before," said Hermione quietly. "That there was a time to turn back if we wanted to. We've had time, haven't we?" "We're with you, whatever happens," said Ron. "But mate, you're going to have to come round to Mom and Dad's house before you go and do anything else. Even Godric's Hollow." "Why?" "Bill and Flo's wedding, remember?" Harry looked at him, startled. The idea that anything as normal as a wedding could still exist seemed incredible, and yet wonderful. "Yeah. We shouldn't miss that," he said finally. His hand closed automatically around the fixed Horcrux. But in spite of everything, in spite of the dark and twisting path he saw stretching ahead, for himself, in spite of the final meeting with Voldemort he knew must come, whether in a month, in a year, or in 10, he felt his heart lift at the thought that there was still one last golden day of peace left to enjoy with Ron and Hermione. And so ends Chapter 30 of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and, likewise, the end of the very novel. Somehow, I don't think I've ever noticed all the details in that chapter. Great reading. It is very dense. Like, if I was reading that in my head, there's a lot I wouldn't notice.
I'm on a pad, but the illustration at the end here is really neat. I like this a lot. But yeah, it was so dense. I tried to read it a little bit slower so that all of the details would come across. It was, but we actually, I think it's just because I focused in. We read almost 40 pages tonight. Fantastic reading, thank you, Castle. You flatter me, Ashley. Dr. Susan, it's good to see you. By the way, I'm glad you dropped in. I know you've been lurking quite a bit, but I'm glad to see you. Yeah, the end of this book is the last 3 chapters are very solid. Thank you for reading, Castle. Good night, everyone. Good night, Mary Beth. Rest well, and may you rise tomorrow ready to face the day and conquer all that stands before you. I'm glad you enjoyed. Dr. Susan, very glad indeed. Oh, what a beautiful chapter. It was 33. We did 33 pages, so not quite 40, but we did 33 pages. And it went by very fast. What are we going to do for the rest of the evening? Well, we'll sing some songs and we can chat about the book. And we'll talk about what we have coming up. Lot of fun things on the horizon. Spend a little bit of time chitter-chattering. I know everybody gets sad when we don't get to waffle, and now we have license to because we're all done with the book. We could throw... Maddie, behave yourself. Beautiful reading. Thank you, guys. Of course, Crystal, thank you kindly. I appreciate the story, but I need something more happy now. Those pages were rough. They are very rough. I've been an odd time with moving and work. It's great to see you. I'm glad that you're doing well. Times of transition are always difficult, but they're always enjoyable. I find that any opportunity for new opportunities is one to be looked forward to, even during time of struggle and grief. Hooray for waffling. I even made a waffle emote. No, I didn't. What didn't I do? More Book 7. Book 7 we will be starting next week. And again, I just got A Darkness in Sethenon in. I got a paperback of it. And this will be starting on Tuesday of next week. It is the final book in the quadrilogy of the Rift War saga, Magician, and it is brilliant. Silverthorn was insane. The ending of this book, like if you haven't watched the ending of this book from Tuesday, go back and watch. Oh, that was it, Matty. Okay. I had to. Yeah, no, you didn't. I'm loving the earlier time. It feels like it makes it a lot easier for everybody to get in. Everybody's got a little bit more energy. I think that we made the right choice by moving story time earlier. But yeah, we have A Darkness in Sethenon. This will be started on Tuesday. It's very exciting. And book 7 of Harry Potter, what is book 7 called, Lovey? The Deathly Hallows, right? Deathly Hallows we will be starting on Thursday of next week, which again, I have never read. I have never read book 7 of Harry Potter. Like, it's 10:20 now and I still have time to meditate before sleep. It is spectacular. I'm liking it. For folks over on Twitch, I'm going to run the ads real quick so that they stop bugging me about it. Then we'll have an hour without them. So we'll be right back if you're over on Twitch. Yeah, next week... Well, I don't want to start another chapter now. We're 30 minutes before the end, and then it will, we won't have time to finish a full chapter. The Wild Ride of Feist continues, and then once we finish Deathly Hallows, we're going to have to vote on a new series for the family-friendly slot, which I think Aragon's going to win. It's gotten very, very close every single time. I think Aragon is going to be our next family-friendly series, to be honest. I have missed a little bit of your life of reading because you're on a little bit early now. I'm usually editing photos. Sorry to hear that, Esther. It is unfortunate. I wish I could make everybody perfectly happy with these things, but if we go too late, then the folks here in the US can't be in. If I go too early, then we were gonna start at 3, but 3 would have been way too early for Australian and New Zealand friends. So I feel like 4:30 is the sort of the happy medium where everybody can get in at a relatively reasonable time. Because then we're ending. I think we ended around noon in Australia. I want to vote for Eragon, but my brain wants the Harry Potter series to be finished first. All is good. I guess you got to satisfy some people. I do my best. Again, it's difficult to satisfy everybody perfectly, but hopefully the reading is good enough and the stories that we tell are good enough that everybody will forgive me for not being 100% perfect all the time for everyone. I read the first Eragon 5 times. Eragon is so good, Sage. Like, if you've never read the Eragon books, 4:30 is the happiest of mediums. Yes, it was really the only time, because if we start at 5, 5 ends up being a little bit too late. If we start at 4, 4 ends up being a little bit too early. 4:30 is breakfast stories instead of bedtime stories, right? Right. Yeah, it's these things are difficult when we have patrons all over the world, you know. Uh, but it is nice that the VODs are there. Obviously, if you enjoy the conversation, being here for the conversation is really what the live story times are for. But if you really just enjoy the reading, then the VODs are probably what is best. All is good. I just try to catch what reading. Well, and Esther, that's why the VODs are great, because it seems like you kind of get lost in the conversation. Anyways, you don't really like the conversation and where it breaks up. So then the VODs end up being nice because then you can just go back and listen to the reading without having to keep up with the conversation. We East Coasters appreciate you. Well, and that is the issue. I think like 80% of the tavern audience right now is in the Midwest and on the East Coast of the United States. So, well, then I love the conversation too. These story times actually started as conversation. Like I used to do story times where I'd hop on, we'd tell a story, and then folks would ask me about mythology and folklore and history and things like that, and we would talk about it. And we did the readathon, which was the Lord of the Rings, and everybody got so attached to the idea of me reading that the story times became just reading. But Sundays, starting this Sunday, by the way, before the lady gets on to read, I will be on for 2 hours to talk about mythology and lore and storytelling, and it'll give everybody the opportunity to pop in. They get better as they go on, in my opinion. You mean the Harry Potter books or the Aragon books, Court? What gets better? Most things you could say get better with age. Castle, is there any goddess outside of Breed that's a goddess of healing from Celtic, Welsh, or Irish mythology? Is it going to be the same time on Sunday? I will probably hop on. So the lady gets on at 6:30, which means I will probably start at 4:30 on Sunday. The inheritance cycle is what they call. Right. I read up to eldest, and I didn't read anything after that. Elsie and I only come here for your reading as we enjoy it. I appreciate you, Esther. So then, yeah, that again, that's why the VODs are so good then, because then you get all of the reading and you don't have to worry about keeping up with the conversation. Yeah, I think that the inheritance cycle will likely be the next one that we start. If I'm being honest, it's been very high up on the list. A healing goddess outside of Breed. Well, you could have Astara technically, because Astara is sort of this goddess of renewal, this figure of renewal. Uh, Astara is German though; that's not Celtic. You could have Eostra, which is more Celtic, but that's mainland Celtic, not Ireland Celtic. I don't need to hear the conversation, just the reading. Well, there you go, Esther. Sounds like the VODs were made for you. Maybe I'll edit them. Maybe I'll edit the VODs down so that Esther doesn't have to hear the conversation, and she can just go and listen to the reading and not have to hear the conversation.
We don't have time for that.
Well, maybe someday then.
If we have a volunteer, maybe.
That's true. We do spend so much time in making the stories that it's very difficult. It's very difficult to add anything new to the roster. His sci-fi book is really good. To Sleep in a Sea of Stars.
Yeah, Valkyrie said that she got that.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet. I can't log into Gilded anymore. Tim, if you message Gilded's support, they're very helpful, and they'll get you sorted out. You are funny, Castle. I try to be. I try not to take anything too seriously, Esther. Do you think you would ever read The Wheel of Time? So, Cindy, I don't know how long you. I know I've seen out your name quite a bit. I don't know how long you've been in for.
We'll be reading Wheel of Time forever.
Yeah. All of the books that we read during Storytime are voted on by the patrons of the tavern. We hold a poll for every new book. I don't pick any of the books. You guys tell me what books you want to read. I put them in a poll, and then you guys vote on them. That's it. Just story and convo included, right? Might be useful to have two versions. If I had the time to edit them down that way, I would. But the lady and I, we produce almost 350 videos a year, and sometimes more than that. And we also do a lot of these lives, and plus we're writing books. So we don't have a whole lot of extra time. But if it gets to a point where we can hire an editor, I will have them cut the VODs down so that they're just the stories. Damn, we'll better be Gilded, because otherwise I'm gonna have to be ruthless as Dr. X, Action Man. Tim, you can also message me on the tavern Instagram. We might be able to do a call on Instagram if that'll help. If your conversation's out of interest, well, then my ears prick up. Oh, I see. Well, I think that's probably fair, right? Like, you don't want to listen to a conversation you're not interested in. For Breed's mother. Oh, well, you could just name her after Breed's mother. I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but I'll message it to you. Because Breed or Brigade in Celtic mythology has. I don't think that Danu was her mother. There was another figure. It might be Danu, but I don't think so. You'll have to record Misty Mountains separately for Esther and Elsie. I will. The lady and I were actually talking about doing some cover songs to put out as like a tavern playlist. I don't know how we would do it. I do have some friends who have recording studios, and we've been thinking about it. And I love Wheel of Time, but the series was a slog. About halfway through Murtaugh, I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah, but the lady loves Wheel of Time. I've never read Wheel of Time either.
I haven't either.
Wait, with the...
My friend Caitlin loves it.
Oh. So a dear friend of the ladies loves Wheel of Time. But yeah, I haven't read those either. So you loops are getting phenomenal. I'm glad that you like them, Milo. Yeah, the lady and I have a lot of stuff we're working on for the recorded stories that we're very excited about. That hopefully will bring you guys deeper into the tavern, and let the doors open a little bit wider, and let you guys really get in here and enjoy the magic with us. Because we have the privilege of living in this magical place all the time, and we want you guys to be able to experience it the way that we do. I read a few sources that say Danu or the Morrigan, so I'll take your word. The Morrigan is such an... The Wheel of Time is also a series. It was a television... Apparently very disappointing. A lot of people did not like it. The weird thing is that the Morrigan is not a singular figure in Celtic mythology. It's always so weird to me that people classify her as being a... The Morrigan is like the Norns, or the Volspa, or the Fates. The Morrigan is a collective. It's usually three women. They're the Morrigan or the Morrigu. The Morrigan is not a singular figure, and it's in most of the modern mythology books. No, I'm saying that most of the modern mythology books present the Morrigan as being a singular figure, but could you tell me? Could you tell me it's the name of McKinney? Is it more Scottish or Irish? Cindy, can you send me a message? I can give you a little rundown on the name if you like. Just shoot me a message here on TikTok, and I'll send you a whole thing on the name. I have a notebook full of all of the old Celtic clan names from my grandfather's records, and I don't know off the top of my head. This isn't a conversation that I've had in a while, referring to names. McKinney sounds more Scottish. I believe that it is a Scottish clan, but the thing is that a lot of the Scottish and Irish clans mix because Scottish lowlanders and Highlanders and some Irish folk they kind of like crossed. There's a melding of the culture. So my dad go does editing usually for metal and thrash and punk, but I can talk to him if you're looking around. I know he charges something. I just don't know. Well, we have a friend out here who holds music festivals and who has a studio, and we were planning a project with him, but it kind of fell through, not because of anything in particular, just because of time. That's why I don't use Morrigan as a singular character, but as a clan in my story. Well, Morrigan isn't even a name. It is a reference to the collective. Again, like the Norns uh, or the Voluspa. It refers to the it's like Congress, right? Or Parliament. The Morrigan is a title. It's a collective. Yeah, well, and that's the most old names from Ireland and Scotland have origins in both places because the clans there's a lot of transience there. So I have a book from my grandfather that has detailed lineages of all of the old clans, and it'll give me a now O'Neill is Irish, right? O'Neill is definitely Irish. O'Neill is one of the oldest Irish clans, and he's the one who started the tradition of kidnapping people to become king. Esther, you said my background is Scottish and I have some knowledge of the language and names. Yeah, and Scottish Gaelic is a little bit different from Irish Gaelic, though not as different as the Irish and Scottish would insist it is. If you know one, you can infer things in the other. But uh, I get what you mean. I'm just saying I use it as a surname in my story as a reference to it as a collective. Right. And I'm not necessarily addressing anything that you're saying. I'm just saying that the Morrigan is one of the most frustrating figures for me in the way that modern Celtic mythology is projected, because almost everything that you see in modern literature is I don't want to say incorrect, but misleading. It's been said that the Irish invented the bagpipes and the Scots just never got the joke. That's funny, Bear. Uh, oh, cool, and close to home is so much more convenient. Well, and I'm very fortunate that I still have access to a lot of the records that because my family keep a lot of records for stories. That's like this. Our family tradition has been to collect and keep stories and records for generations, and I'm lucky that I still have a bunch of it that I have access to. Not all, not even close to all. My grandfather has huge stores of books and records and so on. It's different enough that trying to learn both of the language simultaneously was not a good. Yeah, don't learn them simultaneously, especially not through something like Duolingo, because Duolingo will confuse the ever living hell out of you. Um, I get frustrated by misleading info too. Yeah, and there's so much of it in regards to Celtic and Norse myth. Like a lot of the stuff you see that's very modern, it just doesn't do what it's supposed to do for that. I should probably switch my background on Twitch to be the tavern since we're not reading anymore. I don't want to mislead anybody. There we go. Now we're back in the tavern. Don't want anybody to think that we are reading when we are not. Ugh. Yeah, where is a good place to learn because it's okay, and I address the okay a lot for French and Spanish. There is. Let me, Milu, tag me in the guild to remind me. I will post a good podcast. There's a guy who does a podcast. It's really good for learning Irish Gaeilge. Rosetta Stone is expensive, but it's very good for learning Scottish Gaelic. I'm putting together like a document for learning the languages. Obviously, that's not as good as like vocal lessons, but I have been building out a document for learning Irish Gaeilge for people who want it, just as like a basis to remember in a few lessons. And if people like it and they find it useful, then I'll probably do more. I just have to make sure that I'm not teaching people the wrong thing because my family's dialect is different than the common dialect of Gaeilge, and I didn't realize that until very recently, like the last 5 years. And it was confirmed for me by my cousin that we speak a different dialect. We have a lot of borrowed words from Old Norse and Old Saxon, so I have to make sure that I'm teaching proper High Gaeilge and not my family's dialect because it is different. The number of times I've referenced different versions too, like the various Greek myths. What you really have to be careful with is referencing anything that Ovid did, because Ovid was a Roman, and Ovidius he traumatized a lot of the Greek myths, and you have to be careful with that. I love the tavern background. I do too. It's nostalgic, right? It's the one we've had for so long. Tim, you said, I just made an epic video dedicated to one of my favorite actors on TikTok. It's on Timothy. I'll look it up, Tim. I think I have you on TikTok. I'll check, and I'll go give it a look once I'm done with stories here. Should we sing a couple of songs for the end of the day? One day, Johnny, I'd love to discuss Irish family stuff and all. Yeah, absolutely, Wesley. You can message me any questions you have, and I'll answer them whenever I'm able. I do not have a lot of time on my hands. I'll just be honest with everyone right now. I donate as much of my time as I can to writers and young creators who want to make things. So I do a lot of free analysis of people's books, and I do a lot of free like these are services that the lady and I usually charge for. We do a lot of work where we will teach people storytelling. We'll help people edit their books. We help people with their brands and things like this. Is something the lady and I do professionally, and we charge for it. But for a lot of young creators, we also do it for free. Like I donate a lot of time towards giving people advice on writing and storytelling and books and how to make content online. We don't have as much time to do that as we used to. So Sundays, I will be able to answer any questions. So if people want to submit questions to me through the guild or through social media, I will be able to answer those questions on Sundays during the waffle streams. I won't have as much time to dedicate to doing editing and recommendations and consultations as I used to, because the lady and I are putting a lot of time into doing these things. And again, like I'm happy to do it when I have the time, but the problem is that I don't have as much time as I used to. Hello, I'm Lord Voldemort. Lord Voldemort, we just finished reading about you, as a matter of fact. You scallywag. Shakes fist. I want to be sitting at that bar when I'm not behind it, of course. Me too, Bear. Me too. Yes, song time. Yes, song time. Now, somebody had requested the Scotsman, so I think we can do two others. Your feedback on my story always means the world, and I'm happy to give it. I'm happy to give it. Good night, Sage. Rest well, my friend. Thank you for joining us as always. I hope your editing goes well. Hopefully the goblins don't keep you in hell for too long. Ah, it's Lord Thingy. Songs all right. Yes. So we'll do. Thank you for subscribing, Lord Voldemort. I appreciate that. It literally. The Streamlabs notification literally says, "Thank you for subscribing, Lord Voldemort."
What?
Like,
Funny.
because Lord Voldemort dropped in.
That's funny. What does that say about us?
Oh, good God.
I mean, we're Slytherin, so.
That's true, I am a Slytherin. Long time have been.
Not me, though.
No, you're a Ravenclaw, because you're very clever.
Well, Slytherins are clever.
Well, I would say conniving is probably better. Conniving makes more sense. Elsie requests sleep, not songs. Well, I mean, it's a bit early for sleep for you guys, but whatever you need to do. I'm going to send the edited version of my story soonish as a PDF, since I need to do various edits too afterwards. All right, Matty. The Dark Lord is here. Get him. Give him Potter. Yeah. Everyone starts working on your building and woodworking skills to get that old detail and beauty the tavern will need to give us a. It's funny, we were going through doing financial planning as to like what the tavern and the village were going to cost. Kate, thank you for the heart me over on TikTok. Tips to the tavern keeper always appreciated. Michelle, hello, good to see you. Merry meet. It's been a while since you've been in. And one of the recommendations was that when we finally open a physical location for the tavern, we should just buy an existing building and work it out. And I made the note, I was like, we absolutely not gonna happen. We are going to build everything by hand. We are going to make everything out of wood. We are going wood and stone. It's going to be built the old-fashioned way, and it's going to represent the embodiment of the old crafts. Thank you for subscribing, right, Ashley? Lord Voldemort subscribed to us over on YouTube. What a pleasure, right? What a privilege. The Dark Lord himself. Castle Elsie catnaps. She thinks she's a cat. It's funny because the lady's cat Milo thinks he's a dog. I don't think Milo knows what a cat is. Let's have an old-fashioned barn building and bring some Amish for help. I'd actually been considering hiring some Amish folk to do the building when we finally do. It's gonna depend because we want to have it be very unique. We want it to feel very old-fashioned when we finally get the tavern up and built. We want it to really represent the feeling and the look of the old crafts. Like it needs to feel like something people have never seen before. Basically, any further changes you see that need to be made, I'll implement as I edit on round 2. Which, by the way, for everybody who is invested in the Twisted Fates series, the lady and I are doing final edits on the first 5 chapters, and those will be coming out soon. Well, this is a real tavern, but I mean a physical tavern. When we finally open the physical doors again, we're going to build it out properly, and the same thing with the village. There's going to be a longhouse in the village, there's going to be a smithy in the village, there's going to be a games field, and it's all going to be built the old-fashioned way. And it's going to be way more expensive, it's going to cost way more, but I think it's important that because this what we're about is about restoring and keeping alive the old crafts. I think it's very important that we do it correctly. If I ever win the lotto, I'll need your contact info, Castle. Hey, I'll tell you what, the lady and I feel like we already won the lotto by having all of you. There's not a better group of patrons on the planet than the ones that come into this tavern. I think that's beautiful, making things genuinely the old-fashioned way. It'll be a wonderful place to be. We hope so. That's the plan. Obviously, again, it's going to be ridiculously expensive to do. So watch the YouTube videos. and like. And we appreciate you all for doing it, because that's right now. That's how we're building. Is your attention is paying for everything that we're trying to do, and we appreciate every second of it. Needs a shrine to the chair. The lady will never allow
Absolutely.
it. I can't wait for the physical tavern to become a reality, with all the tavern regulars will be able to staff the entire village. That's true. Both things worth doing authentically are unfortunately expensive nowadays. That's right. It is. But I will tell you right now, uh, the lady and I don't know if it'll ever happen. We want it to, and we think it will. And every penny that we make right now goes towards building to that future. Like everything we do right now is building towards that. Right now, we put out between 5 and 7 shorts a week, quote, and we're working on getting 1 to 2 long videos out every week. We're putting in a lot of work. I wondered if you could find a way to use modern things to make that look. I follow a lot of channels at Two Homes. There are a lot of modern things that we can do, and we are going to have modern amenity built in. Like we don't want it to be like you have to get a mule to build the smithy out. But buy the books and the clothes, yeah, that too. Then those things always help. Yeah, like there's gonna be flushing. Like you're not gonna poop onto a deflection stone. You know, it's not gonna be like the old castles where you have a deflecting stone out into a moat. It'll be modern, but the heart of the building, the core of everything that we build, will be in the old-fashioned way. Court, I don't, or whoever, yeah, Court. I don't know if I got the drink, but thank you for the drink, my friend. I can see the giant fireplace now. Yeah, I can too. It's going to be absolutely spectacular. Raise the prices a bit on the books. Stop being so kind and take a couple of extra bucks for the books. When we put out the regular books, I promise you I will charge a fair price for them. The festivals book, it is more important for me that people can have this and enjoy it than for me to make money on it. Because honestly, like these are the kind of things I would, if you asked me about one of these festivals, I would tell you it for free, because I love my family's traditions. So I don't feel right making profit off of this book. This book is just so you guys can enjoy the traditions of my family and share them with your families. But I promise you, when the lady and I put out our fantasy books, they will be priced fairly. We're gonna do collector's editions that will be beautiful and wonderfully made, and I promise that then we will. But I wouldn't feel right with that. Our outfits will be authentic with excrement in the underskirt. Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Beauty of Blasphemy. Buy the books. So I noticed the stream has changed. So excited to hear that you will be creating this. I wish I could join you guys. You will. Well, you'll probably be able to anyways. Castle occasionally, dreams of the tavern become a reality. I agree. I won't buy one until it costs $2 Canadian more. Well then I guess I'll just have to send it to you for free then, Milo. Oh gosh. Yeah, and if you guys want to support Patreon, that's probably the best way to support what we do, because then there's not a whole bunch of money going to other platforms. Most of it just goes straight to us. And you get exclusive stuff over there too. We make more in-depth videos that don't do well on YouTube over there, and Bear and I will make sure people are buying. Ashley and Bear are the book mafia. Yeah, the book is called Norse Gaelic Festivals, and it is written by me, J.D. Castle. And you can get it over on the Tavern Shop or on Amazon. If you buy it from the Tavern Shop, it ships out from the lady and I, and we'll send it to you. We do. Well, I don't know what you mean by gifts, though. The Patreon is great, by the way. Been there for years, and it's well worth. Thank you, Court. I appreciate you for that. just had the tier update on. It's true, we did update all the tiers as to what people will be getting, and seems it has been too long. What do you mean, Michelle? Yeah, Milo, we do have a tavern email. I don't know what you mean by gifts though. We don't want gifts. Don't give us gifts. We prefer that you guys get something for your money. But the my email is in the tavern bio. If anybody ever wants to email us anything. Uh I mean, I don't even really like the tips thing, but yes, if you wanted to, the coffee is the best way to do that, is the safest way to do that. Did you want to get my email address? I'm curious, no rush. Probably, Matty? I would presume so. Well, and again, Esther, like I'm super happy that you have the book. You should be able to just type. Yeah, see, it pops up when you say it. Coffee, right there. Um, I care more about you guys having this and enjoying it than anything else. No, no, that's fine. That's fine. I got what you meant, Esther. Um, not Esther, Milu. I'm talking to too many people at one time. Um, I want you guys to have this and enjoy it. That's really what I want. I want you to have it and enjoy it. Can't remember if you knew me better by Little Red. Oh yes, yes. I've missed you guys. Yeah, yeah. You were yes. Long. That's a name I haven't seen in a long time. You have been away for a while. It has been a while since we've seen you. Colored anxiety flaring a bit in my head. Always going, Maddie, there's no rush. Um,
I need to send them as emojis.
right. Yeah, it's right here. You can. Thank you. No, I understood. I understood what you were saying, Milo. But yeah, the gift is the time we spend together in the tavern, being spirited away for a little while. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, I forgot where I was, but yeah, we will have books soon. I will tell you this: if you guys support the Twisted Fate series, then that will be spectacular because that's something we're very excited about. You don't need there's no money involved with supporting it. Just show up, listen to the stories when they come out, and decide the fate of the characters. You were and are waffling currently, right? And yeah, if you're in the gilded gold membership, most of that money comes straight to the tavern. And if you're over on Patreon, I think it's like 95% of that comes straight to the tavern as well. So those are the best ways to support. And if you tip through coffee, we get like 98% of that as well. So if there's any way that you want to support financially, and again, I don't want to pressure anybody, nobody needs to feel like they have to. But if you want to, those are the best ways to do it. And if you do it through Patreon, you get extra stuff from the tavern for it. And it means the world to us when you guys do. And again, we're just happy that so many of you show up. Like, just being here and being with us and enjoying what we do, that means the world to the lady and I. If you show up to the videos that we make and you're excited and you engage in the conversation, the lady and I, we literally sit and we read the comments and we talk about it. Sometimes we make fun of people who are being dumb, but generally we just get excited about the people who are there. It's Ko-fi, so Kofi, Esther. It's a platform for creators that it's like buy me a coffee, so it's like buy the tavern keeper a drink sort of thing. I'm also wondering when my beta readers went. Fi is our favorite. Like she's shape-shifting, manipulating cinnamon roll. I know. I have the recipe. I'll get that formatted soon so that those of you who want it can just have it.
I want you to do a pretty book with photos.
Yeah, the lady doesn't want to put the cookbook out until we can do it with photos and like actual images of the recipes when they're done. But we don't have a proper kitchen until we finish building the tavern and we have a place. Because right now our kitchen is very tiny and we don't have the ability to do that yet. But we will someday, soon, hopefully. Okay, let's do songs. We had the Scotsman. Let me get 2 more song requests. Some things we haven't done in the while, folks. What are some songs we haven't sung for a while? Maddie says, also, I know I keep saying this, but thank you so much, Una. I wish someone tipped me. Get on and read, Esther. You can get people to tip you. I'm a blackguard and people tip me. Or edit photos on stream. People will tip you for it. We could do Santiana. We haven't done Santiana in a while. We just did the mermaid song, Milo. I can't do it twice.
I don't even know what it's called, but it's in my head.
Oh, that's right. Somebody had requested Rant and Roar. Oh. Cormac we did that in the break, Milo. Well, I'm saying, like, you're very good at what you do. You're a good photographer, Esther. If you got on stream while editing photos, you would get people to tip you. The funny duck one, Moby Duck. I don't think it's on the list, but Bones in the Ocean is real. Bones in the Ocean is on the list, actually, Court. I've only done it like once a long time ago, though. Tale of the Shadow, is that cheating now? We did do Tale of the Shadow a couple of weeks ago. Ooh, Into the West. The lady would need to do Into the West. I'm not very good at it. Damn it, it's my own fault. We could do all right. I'm gonna pick 2. So I promised the Scotsman. We'll do the Scotsman. We did Hoist the Colors pretty recently. We can do Santiana. We haven't done Santiana in a while. Oh, somebody had wanted the Rambling Rover as well. No, I'm not going to do Rattling Ball. We don't have 2 days. Oh, Soldier Poet King. Yeah, that's a good one too. Would you be willing to do Into the West for them, my darling?
If they want that.
Yeah, so let's do let's do we'll do the Scotsman. And then we'll do Bones in the Ocean. Because we haven't done Bones in the Ocean in very, very, very forever. Very, very forever. And then yeah, I think Soldier Poet King we could probably do too. So let's do and because it is the anniversary. It was the anniversary of Tolkien's death on the 2nd of September. So yeah, I think Into the West would be good. So let's go ahead. We'll do Santiana. We'll do the Scotsman. The lady will do Into the West, and then the lady and I together. No. Hang on. We'll do the Scotsman. We'll do Bones in the Ocean. The lady will do Into the West, and then she and I will do Soldier Poet King. All right, that's what we're doing. Nailed it. Oh, Bear was the one who asked for Rambling. Yeah, we'll do 5 tonight. We'll do Rambling Rover then. We'll do Rambling Rover. Where everybody gets a little taste. All right. Smorgasbord. Absolutely. Okay. Scotsman. This is a nice, funny one to break up the sadness of the end of the Harry Potter book. So, And again, to everyone who likes and shares while my head is down, it means the world. Especially over on TikTok, the more you like and share, the more people get to see the portal of the tavern. So we appreciate you for that. Thank you kindly. All right. Well, a Scotsman clad in kilt left about one evening fair. One could tell by how he walked he'd drunk more than his share. He fumbled round until he could no longer keep his feet. Then he stumbled off into the grass to sleep beside the street. Ring ding diddly idly oh, ring ding diddly I ho ho. He stumbled off into the grass asleep beside the street. About that time, two young and lovely girls just happened by. One says to the other with a twinkle in her eye, "See yon sleeping Scotsman so strong and handsome built. I wonder if it's true what they don't wear 'neath their kilt. Oh, ring ding diddly idly oh, ring ding diddly I ho ho. I wonder if it's true what they don't wear 'neath their kilt." They crept up on that sleeping Scotsman as quiet as could be, lifted up his kilt about an inch so they could see, and there behold for them to view beneath his Scottish skirt was nothing more than God had graced him with upon his birth. Ring ding diddly idly oh, ring ding diddly I ho ho, was nothing more than God had graced him with upon his birth. They marvelled for a moment, then one said, "We must be gone. Let's leave a present for our friend before we move along." As a gift they left a blue silk ribbon tied into a bow. Around the bonny star the Scotsman kilt did lift and show. Ring ding diddly idly oh, ring ding diddly I ho ho. Around the bonny star the Scotsman's kilt did lift and show. Now the Scotsman woke to nature's call and stumbled towards the trees. Behind the bush he lifts his kilt and gawks at what he sees. And in a startled voice he says, what's before his eyes, "Aye, lad, I don't know where you've been, but I see you won first prize." Ring ding diddly idly oh, ring ding diddly I ho ho. "Aye, lad, I don't know where you've been, but I see you won first prize." Cheers, friends. Great, wonderful song. Make sure I have everything. It's the Scotsman, Bones in the Ocean, Into the West, Soldier Poet King, and Ramblin' Rover. You have it correct, Bear. That is how we're singing ourselves out tonight, and I thank you for putting it all there because I actually forgot. So let's do Bones in the Ocean. Now, Bones in the Ocean is a bit of a weird tune. I don't know if I can get it exactly right. Now that was a new one. Well, hopefully it helped to lift your spirits a little bit. Hi. Oh, I bid farewell to the port and the land, and I paddle away from brave England's white sands to search for my long ago forgotten friends, to search for the place I hear old sailors end. As the souls of the dead fill the place in my mind, I'll search without sleeping till peace I can find. I fear not the weather, I fear not the sea. I remember the fallen, do they think of me? When their bones in the ocean forever will be. Plot a course to the night, to a place I once knew, to a place where my hope died along with my crew. I swallow my grief and face life's final test, to find promise of peace and the solace of rest. As the songs of the dead fill the space in my ears, their laughter like children, their beckoning cheers, my heart longs to join them, sing songs of the sea. I remember the fallen, do they think of me? When their bones in the ocean forever will be. When at last before my ghostly shipmates I stand, I shed a small tear for my home upon land, Their eyes speak of depths filled with struggle and strife. Their smiles below say I don't owe them my life. As the souls of the dead fill the space in my eyes, and my boat lists over and tries to capsize, I'm this far from drowning, this far from the sea. I remember the living, do they think of me? When my bones in the ocean forever will be. Now that I'm staring down at the darkest abyss, I'm not sure what I want, but I don't think it's this. As my comrades call to stand fast and forge on, I make sail for dawn till the darkness has gone. As the souls of the dead live forever in my mind, as I live all the years that they left me behind, I'll stay on the shore but still gaze at the sea. I remember the fallen and they think of me, for our souls in the ocean together will be. I remember the fallen and they think of me, for our souls in the ocean together will be. Castle, I'm unfamiliar with the song Bones in the Ocean. It's a slow piece. Elsie and I are beginning to doze off. It is slow, and it is a lovely one. I wasn't quite on tune, I know, because they like these ones that have off-kiltered tunes. They mess me up. I'm not a good enough singer to get them. I'm glad you enjoyed though, Court. All right, next we'll do. Okay, so since the lady and I are gonna be singing the last two together, we'll do Ramblin' Rover first, and then we'll do the lady will do Into the West, and then we'll do Soldier Poet King together. If we can. I don't know how well we'll do that. Maybe the lady will just do it. Thank you, Esther. I appreciate you. Let me make sure I find a version of Ramblin' Rover that I actually know. Because there are so many versions of this song. Oh, there's sober men aplenty, and drunkards barely 20. There are men of over 90 that have never yet kissed a girl. But give me a ramblin' rover frae Orkney down to Dover. We'll roam the country over, and together we'll face the world. I've roamed through all the nations in delight of all creations, and enjoyed a wee sensation where the company it was kind. And when the pardon was no pleasure, I've drunk another measure to the good friends that we treasure, for they're always in our mind. Oh, we're sober men aplenty, and drunkards barely 20. There are men of over 90 that have never yet kissed a girl. But give me a ramblin' rover frae Orkney down to Dover. We'll roam the country over, and together we'll face the world. There are many that feign enjoyment from merciless employment. Their ambition is deployment from the minute they left the school. And they save and scrape and ponder, while the rest of us go out and squander, see the world and rove and wander, and happier as a rule. Oh, there are sober men aplenty, and drunkards barely 20. There are men of over 90 that have never yet kissed a girl. But give me a ramblin' rover frae Orkney down to Dover. We'll roam the country over, and together we'll face the world. If you're bent with arthritis, your bowels got colitis, you're galloping bollochitis, and you're thinking it's time you died. If you bend a man, no action, though you're lying there in traction, you get yourself some satisfaction thinking, Jesus, at least I tried. Oh, there's sober men aplenty, and drunkards barely 20. There are men of over 90 that have never yet kissed a girl. But give me a ramblin' rover frae Orkney down to Dover. We'll roam the country over and together we'll face the world. I do believe that the original version of this was by Silly Wizard Bear. Castle Elsie and I have a great admiration for your voice. We would be the first to purchase your music album. Oh, thank you, Esther. That is actually very flattering. I don't know if the lady and I will ever get to it, but we would like to do some cover songs just for the tavern folk, even if we don't ever put them out. Gives me so many spoilers. So many. I'm not a beta reader, so I don't even read his editing. I'm literally just chatting and mod. Alright, my love, it is your turn. If you'd like.
I'm not being on TV.
You don't have
I'm
to.
wearing silly shorts.
You are wearing silly shorts. I will move my charts like this, and I will bring up the lyrics for you here. I'll turn this up, and I will be quiet so we're
Far away. Just move it over.
all right. I'm just gonna push you over like
Yeah, that works.
all right.
That'll do,
That'll do.
I think. Always makes me think of Babe.
Yeah,
That'll do, pig.
that'll do. Big. It's a classic,
It's so good.
underappreciated classic.
I agree. You want a standing ovation? You're so funny. I haven't even started. Hello, Frost.
So tell her thank you for the heart, me and the rose and tips of the tavern. Keep it always appreciated.
Alrighty. Lay down your sweet and weary head. Night is falling. You have come to journey's end. Sleep now and dream of the ones who came before. They are calling from across the distant shore. Why do you weep? What are these tears upon your face? Soon you will see. All of your fears will pass away, safe in my arms. You're only sleeping. What can you see on the horizon? Why do the white gulls call across the sea? A pale moon rises. The ships have come to carry you home. And all will turn to silver glass. A light on the water, all souls pass. Hope fades into the world of night, through shadows falling out of memory and time. Don't say
We have come now to the end. White shores are calling. You and I will meet again, and you'll be here in my arms, just sleeping. What can you see on the horizon? Why do the white gulls call? Across the sea, a pale moon rises. The ships have come to carry you home, and all will turn to silver glass. A light on the water, gray ships pass into the west.
So, Ashley and Kai both say hello,
Hello.
and Kai says, "Oh my God, I've missed her singing so much," and now I'm bawling again. Susan, thank you for the feelings, I appreciate you.
Hello.
And Esther says, "Una, we are delighted with your performance. Your beautiful voice was always a highlight."
Oh,
And
Oh,
Maddie
I'm
gave you
glad
a
you liked
million
it.
virtual dollars.
I got virtual dollars.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maddie.
Why don't you leave the mic over there for you and just do Soldier Poet King? Because I remember we tried to harmonize this one and we couldn't.
Yeah, we sing differently.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things about Soldier Poet King is that I don't know if it was written specifically by C.S. Lewis, but it was inspired by the writings of C.S. Lewis. So it's actually, I don't know if the Oh Hellos wrote it based on that, but I just recently learned that it was written, inspired by the works of C.S. Lewis.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. I did not know about that. Right, we ready?
Very ready.
Good night, Quirt. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. There will come a soldier who carries a mighty sword. He will tear your city down. Ole, ole, oh Lord. Ole, 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 oh Lord. He will tear your city down. Ole, ole, oh Lord. There will come a poet whose weapon is his word. He will slay you with his tongue. Ole, ole, oh Lord. Ole, 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 oh Lord. He will slay you with his tongue. Ole, ole, oh Lord. There will come a ruler whose brow is laden thorn, smeared with oil like David's boy. Ole, ole, oh Lord. Ole, 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 oh Lord. Smeared with oil like David's boy. Ole, ole, oh Lord. Here you go. Short and sweet.
Beautiful. And what's fascinating is that you did a song inspired by the works of C.S. Lewis after a song that was inspired by the works of Tolkien, in remembrance of the death of Tolkien, which happened on September the 2nd, 1973, 52 years ago this month. What a beautiful thing. Thank you, my darling. Thank you all so much for the love and excitement tonight. Well done. Too short, wanted more, says Esther. Goodbye, Teresa. Rest well. Thank you as always for joining. I appreciate you. That's so meta, right? Yeah, it's beautiful. Stephanie says, I dozed off, and did not know what I woke up to. Beautiful, my lady, says Stephanie. And Kai also says, that was absolutely beautiful. It made me think of him. I think it's my new favorite song.
Oh,
And Ashley says, thank you so much for another wonderful evening, Castle. Much love to you and the lady. Much love to all of you. Thank you all so much for all you do for the lady and I. We appreciate every last one of you and every second you spend here. And again, Susan, I don't know if you heard me, but thank you for the teeny deenies. The tips to the tavern keeper are always appreciated. All right, if you are on any of the other portals into the tavern, this is where we end for tonight. But if you're over on Twitch, we're going to raid out to show love to someone in the community. Kai says, can you please tell her thank you so much for the previous song for me? It was so beautiful. She says, of course, and she's always happy to do it. Una should record the Soldier Poet so we can buy the song. I don't know if we would be able to get rights to it, but I'm sure she'd be willing to. Good night, Esther. Thank you for all the love. I appreciate you. Also, the only reason I need a name for Breed's mom is because her backstory is having a big thing in store. That's all right, Matty. We'll work on it. Did I miss Soldier Poet King? My feed was frozen. You did, Tyson. She just finished it. All right, my friends. This is where we end for tonight. I'm going to send you all off out into the world. Thank you so much for everything. It is sad that we must part, as is the way of things. But we will join again with new books next week. So make sure you're here Tuesday and Thursday. It's going to be a brand new Feist book on Tuesday and a brand new Harry Potter book on Thursday. Make sure you're here. All right, my friends. We are parting, and that is sad, but we will once again come together when the portals again open and the tavern draws us in for a story. So, until next time, I will bid you all stay bloodthirsty. And the lady and I will see you next time. Good night, my friends.
But then sometimes there's extra bonuses, so it's like Gamba.